What is going on, guys? This is Rift Insight Season 1, Episode 20. Yes, we are at 20 episodes for this. And a lot of people actually really enjoy this series. Thank you guys for all the recent support. It really does mean a lot. We have hit 560 subscribers. Thank you so much for all the people that recently subscribed and put their opinions out there for I can, read them. And, I always like when there's someone that's willing to challenge an opinion and bring up their own, logic into it. I always love that. I only ever really ban people for being disrespectful, and I've only ever banned, like, I think it's one person. He's being just absolutely disrespectful. I was like, I'm not listening to your opinion. Your opinion's worthless. You're banned. You're done. So that's the only reason why I would ever ban somebody is if you're being disrespectful. But other than that, people ask, like, did I turn off comments because I was not liking criticism? No, I never turned off any comments. YouTube actually did that because there was other creators on Twitter talking to YouTube about it. They're like, hey, why are my comment section turned off? So YouTube said there's a bug right now going around with that. I did not turn off any comments. I've never turned off comments on neither of my YouTube channels. So, just want to make sure I put that out there. But, yesterday it opened the free agency open period for the 2020 offseason, and it was absolutely insane. The amount of crazy signings that I saw, like, it almost blew my brains.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It was actually a little bit underwhelming for me. I expected so much, and I was like, there was a few fun ones, like, actually, but, like, for the most part, nothing crazy happened. Nothing like, wow, this is, like, gonna change the entire league. Nothing like that happened. Like, I don't want to pretend
TSM got a lot of flame, and then they got also a lot of praise.
Okay, SwordArt was incredibly good pickup. I know you, for some reason, didn't think he played well, but I think he was the second best support at Worlds.
I don't think he played as good as people made it out to be.
He was literally incredible.
He never played as good as Barrel, though. And Barrel was
Barrel was
I would have just got him.
Single best. Oh yeah, let me just grab the best support in the world last year.
Yeah,
you don't get to just do that. Second best support at Worlds last year. I think that's completely fine.
And then we also had a lot of things pop off with the YouTube section for League of Legends. As you guys know, today officially Team Liquid dropped Broxa, and then also COG had the welcome video for Broxa. But we're gonna get into all that. But let me do a few things really quickly. Let me share the stream and put it inside some groups, and then we'll be able to start. Actually, so last week we didn't have an episode because it was just the end of Worlds 2020, and usually after Worlds, since I did this for about, well, now 2 years, I like to take a week off from League content because whenever Worlds comes around, you're grinding all month for content. You're actually grinding all year for League content in general, but Worlds is, like, especially hard because there's just games after games after games after games. Then you have quarters, and it's semis, and it's finals, so I like to take a break after that, but it's been fun overall, doing all the League off-season content, and there's other rumors still coming around, like Hanser, not having a team right now because Golden Guardians' roster were all dropped, and they're all going to 100 Thieves, minus Hanser, because they've now upgraded their roster, because 100 Thieves, want to be a competitor, obviously, in the LCS. They want to be looked at as an org that people see as a org that's good, and I can personally see why they want to do it. Golden Guardians, they had a pretty good roster toward the end of the LCS 2020 summer split where they almost knocked out TSM. In fact, if Golden Guardians knock out TSM do not win the 2020 summer split because they obviously lost to Golden Guardians, and Golden Guardians may have been in the finals. Who knows? But 100 Thieves were like, you know what? I'm going to just take 4/5 of that roster and put them in my organization, plus someday, so now they're even stronger. But, what else happened? That's pretty much it. Oh, Wild Turtle might be going to CLG.
If that doesn't do anything for that team.
If FlyQuest get Deathly, then Wild Turtle will be on CLG.
Wow, so just two... I don't like to talk about just really irrelevant pieces being moved around for the most part. They're not worth the amount of attention you could really put towards them. Deathly and Wild Turtle are just worth in a passing note. Yeah, this happened. I don't want to dwell on it. It's just not going to make an effect. It just shows that they're not really making it like an attempt to win the league next year. I think one thing I do like is I'm actually curious how TSM is going to work out at this point because they still have one of the most intensely aggressive resource hogs in the league in Huni, who has really limited his champ pool to like Gangplank and Rumble. So we're gonna have to see how that works out. We have bot lane, who's gonna be SwordArt and Doublelift, and Doublelift did not look great last year. But then again, it does look like we're making a transition back into like, I mean, for the most part, right now, the best ADCs, in my opinion, are going to be Kog'Maw, Vayne, something like on-hit effects. That's the reason why all these
They're actually really strong. I actually played a few games. On-hit champions are so strong. Oh my god. Those mythic items are absolutely broken.
I mean, as of right now, there's so many stackable percent health and true damage kind of effects in the elite game that it really does make hyper-carries that are relying on on-hits to be able to be pretty decent. I mean, obviously not Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is good. But Twitch isn't good because they kind of reduced his AD scaling and made him a AP support for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. But all around, I think there's going to be a lot more carry-oriented ADCs that are going to be in the game. So I think that might give, like, Doublelift, who is more prone to being a lane bully, the ability to be able to be decent. Like, it's hard for him to be able to do anything in a supportive ADC-oriented meta. Did you disappear on me? All right. I think, let me see. No, I don't actually know how this is going to work out, honestly.
Oh, what's up? Yeah. What's up, man? It's me, Spark. Hey, man, what's up? Man, I don't know, because there's a lot of people that say that they're happy that the LCS is moving in a different direction, but I don't know. I don't like saying those things until I actually see it. They're changing how the academy system... Well, I mean, they're changing how the academy system works. It's going to be fewer teams, and the teams in academy are now it's like, how would I say this? They're going to be required to obviously play up against amateur teams. So it's going to be a way different way of how they quote unquote build up talent. Sorry guys, hearing that freaking train out there. Someone's playing choo choo.
I mean, all around, I don't know what you mean. They're making it to where they have to face up against amateur teams seems more of a better.
And now they're allowing they're allowing teams to have an amateur team if you want. Like more teams will have the initiative to do it. I also liked how the play-in stage had an effect on like how people see like the minor region quote unquote talent, because when I heard that Jose Dodo got picked up by FlyQuest, I was like, now the play-in stage I think will have more merit to it, because we had Arma getting picked up for Mad Lions, we had Jose Dodo getting picked up for FlyQuest. I really like that, like the LCS orgs are looking at all these little minor leagues and grabbing players from them. I think there's been some good players in there, not talkers. That guy sucks, but I mean, I hope he's still not playing. What do we consider an amateur team? So like 100 Thieves next, TSM Junior. That's pretty much it so far. Collegiate teams, I think you can consider those amateur teams.
I mean, I think what's all going around is the fact that I assume that they're talking about building up teams that are like, if you want to buy a team, you can get into it and they can compete if they make it through a tournament to be able to get in. I don't know. Like it's not really specified from what I've seen so far. But if there's a whole big old article that I didn't read on it, for the most part, it didn't seem like they put any like very specific info on it yet, so I really don't know myself.
Yeah, he was on Travis's show last night, the LCS commissioner, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to read more into this, because it seems like they're doing a good thing, but also he said a team can't really lock up an amateur for a while in like contract hell, because like some teams would know they have a really good amateur that they could potentially be putting on their team eventually, but his contract will be like for like 2 years, and then obviously other orgs can't grab him because you're in contract hell. So
who are the top, in your opinion, I'm going to ask you this right now, who are the top 3 teams in NA right now, starting with just purely what we have information-wise on the table?
Team Liquid, TSM, Cloud9.
You actually put...
And then 100 Thieves, potentially.
100 Thieves? You put TSM above 100 Thieves, really?
It's hard to say. Like, I really think Power of Evil and SwordArt are going to be a really good mid-support duo.
I mean, I agree with that. Again,
SwordArt always needs a mid laner that'll follow up on his plays, and that's what Ignar did all year for FlyQuest, and now you get a better Ignar, which is SwordArt.
My big problem with it is there's a lot of people coming off of really low years. Like, Huni obviously played well during the playoffs, but he played really poorly during the regular season for pretty much the entirety of it.
That's my thing. I think Huni's going to be the problem. Huni's probably going to be the reason why they're going to be probably 4th place to 100 Thieves, because if you want to swap out 100 Thieves with TSM, I think that's fair to do that.
They're saying SwordArt V. I mean, is SwordArt Visas doesn't approve, which doesn't make any sense, really. I mean, I don't understand. Visa issues can be worked out in a pretty.
Yeah. Oh no, man. Riot is working with the company that does that, so he'll be able to come in most likely.
The company that does that? You mean the U.S. government? What? The company that does visas. I mean, I think the big thing that I have a question for is whether or not, first of all, how does SwordArt's play translate over countries? Because obviously, with his ability to his kind of play style of roaming around the map effectively, that does require a lot of communication. Can he communicate through that, through very minimal amounts of English and get his point across fast enough to where they know what happens? Because if something slightly shifts, like the jungler shows up, can he communicate, I'm going to pull off, or is it too late and he has to commit because he doesn't fully know what to say at that point? How much English does he know is one question for me. Another question for me is, what Huni are we going to get? Because again, there's really been glimpses of good, Huni playing well, that has really shifted me into saying he still has potential. Because playoff Huni was by far and away the best player on Evil Geniuses. He was the only good player on that, and they still did pretty well in that series. I was reading that Huni was signed to help SwordArt. You know what? That's not a bad. That's probably why they signed it. That actually makes a lot of sense. Because
the problem is there's a fallacy with that. You sign one player to be able to communicate with another player, but if Huni's not good, it's gonna fall apart. That's the issue with that.
I feel like this actually makes moderate sense because again, you sign him for a split. He really does help SwordArt develop his English, and then at that point, you have a developed English-speaking SwordArt, and you could just throw Huni to the trash at that point. Honestly, and if Huni works out, you have an all-around good team. Huni is a good leader. I've seen him in a lot of his comms, he's really able to stop everybody from tilting a very often amount of times. Even if he tilts himself sometimes, when he's not the one tilted, he plays pretty well. I think he does have somewhat leadership qualities because he's able to push off a lot of
This is the thing though. Huni, is it a fair assessment to say Huni was worse than Solo?
Yes.
I think I literally think Huni is just it depends though, because Solo also went to Worlds as bad as he played too.
I don't care. All around, I'll compare it. We'll put it in sections right now. Solo played better than Huni during the regular season.
Solo, pretty much in playoffs too.
No. I will not agree with that in the slightest. Solo was
which part?
1/3 of the player that Huni was in the playoffs. It wasn't. Honestly, Huni was one of the best top laners inside of the playoffs when it came down to that aspect. Solo has been better than him all year, and that's why I honestly think he's still probably the better pickup out of the two. But at the same time, we're not looking at that aspect. We're looking at the highs at this point, and that's really all I can look at this point. That's really the only thing you could justify is wow, he looked good in this specific aspect.
Well, I was trying to compare the tangible. So you get Huni, who was just about worse or better than Solo, give or take. So you get a Solo level top laner, but you also get a superstar support, which is SwordArt. But Huni's role in the team is to be able to communicate to SwordArt about positions on the map. So if Huni says, hey, we're going in on Rift Herald at 10 minutes, SwordArt, I need you to come up here and get it, he'll be a good asset to that. But if he's not playing good, the problem in the tangible with SwordArt falls apart, because SwordArt, if he's doing bad in his lane, he's not going to be able to communicate anything. And Doublelift, to be fair, Doublelift did play well with Core JJ, who couldn't speak English when Core JJ first came over. So I think Doublelift playing with SwordArt's going to be okay.
Wait, Doublelift can speak Korean, can he? A little bit.
That's why he said the bot lane's not going to be as bad as some people are making it out to be. But the problem is, Doublelift's another issue. Doublelift doesn't like when his support roams consistently. SwordArt is a literal known roaming support. That is what he does. So that's going to be the problem.
Might be mixing up names than Hanser than Huni. I mean, it's not completely unjustifies what you're saying, I agree. I mean, I think Licorice was probably better than Someday at the very end of this, at specific aspects of the game. It's I don't know about putting Impact above Alfari. Honestly, I would probably put Alfari at the very top right now. I think Alfari is probably going to be the best top laner inside of the NALCS next year. I think then it's probably going to go Licorice, in my opinion, because I think that's probably where it's going to be. Because, again, Someday, at this point in time, they really never play around him. As much as I want to say that Someday is the better player, that is all dependent on the picks you put around him, because obviously if you don't put him on a carry, he's not going to be more effective than somebody else. He's able to play weak side, and he's a bit, yeah. I think Alfari is probably going to be the best. That's probably who I put at number one. But Someday again, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you say in order? Oh, you did say in order. I'm just not able to read 3 words. That's my bad.
The school system failed us, guys.
I guess so. I think I don't know if I'm gonna put. I don't know enough about Fudge. Again, he was the best laning top laner. He was one of the best laners in general inside of the academy scene. But really, what does that amount to in comparison to what's it called? Because we have a lot of like Dolkla was like a really good top laner inside of the academy scene, and that's just not something he did inside the regular LCS. So like really, we're gonna have to see how he translates that into better competition now. Like he has great stats, he has all this stuff. Well, like I don't know if I'm gonna put him up to that level at this point in time. Let me see. I don't think I'd put Hanser above him at this point. Like honestly, Hanser is Hanser on a team yet?
No.
Yeah, you can't really. You can't put him on a team yet.
It factors in this. Do you think Hanser was better than Solo for the last season?
No, Hanser was better than both of them last season. But
that's the thing, though. Why would they just... I would have re-grabbed Hanser.
No. I'm just thinking, like, again, first of all, they're obviously grabbing him for the Korean. Like, once he said that, it made perfect sense why they grabbed him. Second of all, again, I don't know what the actual legitimate reason as to why they're there's really only one reason. Is because he speaks Korean and he sometimes pops off in the playoffs, and that's really the only two justifiable reasons. But that's not a good enough it's really not a good enough reason because he's really inconsistent. It's just like the highs that you're hoping to get from him are so far in between that it just isn't worth much.
All he played good was like Orin.
No, he's good on Rumble playoffs. And Gangplank.
But like those are those so poorly though. Like he plays those. He played Orin, Rumble, and Gangplank, and he still made them look bad.
I don't agree with that. I think he was good on Gangplank and Rumble specifically. He's really good on those. Like it's just the biggest problem with Huni right now is how little his champion pool is. I think that's one of the biggest problems I've had with him recently because he really doesn't have much to play off of. Like you can actually ban him out, and then we saw during 2 seasons ago when he played Rumble in the first game of the season, we're like, wow, Huni's actually just a monster. And then we saw him, and then they banned Rumble on him and he was just worthless. Like we have to, first of all, he has to hope that he can adapt to the new meta because the top lane meta has shifted drastically from this preseason. Again, I don't know what it's going to look like during the regular season, but it's shifted drastically as it stands right now with all the mythic items.
With a bunch of on-hit champions, I'd imagine it goes back to a tank meta.
On-hits are actually really good into tanks, to be fair. I mean, like, Kog'Maw actually melts tanks. I do think that's going to be the meta during the regular season is going to be on-hits because they actually buffed Kraken Slayer, which is kind of crazy in my opinion, but again, a lot of the ADCs weren't popping off because of how good tanks were with Sunfire. Huni could just be coasting. I'm not sure he's been trying. It really does kind of look like that sometimes because when it gets into the the playoffs, he always performs like the best on his team. The past 2 seasons, he plays really terribly during the regular season. He gets in the playoffs and just completely dumpsters everybody. And that's just I don't know how much I can attribute to that. Maybe he's just like getting good matchups because it does seem like he usually wins that end of the drafting phase in terms of the playoff scene. But like I'm not gonna attribute anything. I think that the reason they picked him up is mostly because of the Korean speaking thing. But we're gonna have to see whether or not that accounts from the lack of consistency we're gonna give from him. Nemesis look like a verse. No, he doesn't. Nemesis has a bigger champion pool than him, and that is a very complete fact at this point, and that's embarrassing.
What's up, Penchef? I haven't seen you in a while, man. How you been doing, dude?
Like, I actually Nemesis can play Galio, Lucian, and Galio,
and Orianna.
Actually, no, I think they're both terrible. Never mind.
I'm trying to think. Evil Geniuses were gonna get Nemesis, but they ended up going with Jizuke because apparently Jizuke and Bang had some issues. That's the reason why they weren't playing Jizuke toward the end of the 2020 season we just got past. But that's
what is going on with Bang, by the way? What is the confirmation?
I don't know. No one's told me anything about that. No one's told me anything about Zeyzal either. So
told you anything? You're making it sound like the teams specifically are calling you before they make each play.
I have not read nothing on Bang or Zeyzal. Some people said what happened to a few other players. I really don't know. No one's heard anything about Apollo, Hakuho, Zeyzal's Bang.
Why does my name say Thorin 2.0? Whatever. I don't know why that's okay. Is C9 Perkz finalized? I think that's pretty much on the books at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, he's finalized. They signed
he's retiring, becoming a T1 streamer like Wolf. I feel really bad for Bang because I think he still had the talent. I honestly feel like there was a lot of emotions for the most part on his end. There was a lot of just kind of he was struggling with a lot of things, just like what's it called, emotionally, that he really never actually got over from his T1 days. He left T1 because he was getting, I think he actually just got kicked for what's his name, Teddy, to be fair, but still.
Well, to be fair, like, I don't know if he the problem with Bang in that season, well, it wasn't that season 8 where they didn't make Worlds. So in season 8, I don't think he played that bad. I think in some games he was better than what Faker was putting out, but like he and Effort weren't that good together. I also think that he had marginally declined since his prime, quote unquote, where everyone was super overhyping him.
Oh, he's depressed. I mean, you could see that honestly from a lot of his plays. You could look at his play inside of the playoffs. Like just each time you saw him on the cams, like it was just depressing. Bengi is not coming back. He was old when he left. He's even older now.
He's an old man.
That's like asking Michael Jordan to come back to the NBA because he was good before. Like Bengi's old. He started declining towards the end of his career, and he's still one of the greatest junglers of all time. But like, I think it has come to an end. I really would not like to see him there.
But now that kind of gets into things we're going to talk about. So it's finalized today, guys. Perkz is leaving G2 Esports. He got them into the EULCS in the Challenger. When they were a Challenger team and they rose up, they had failed to get into the EULCS like 3 times. They got Perkz, and then they made it into the EULCS. The very first split they came in, they dominate. That was the old roster of Hybrid, Emperor, Perkz, Kikis, and Trick. They just dominated EU. And it's really crazy because I've been watching like Perkz ever since he came into the league. I even remember when he came into the league in that Challenger series. Like, so seeing him grow after all these years and be considered the Western GOAT, that's really good on Perkz. He's won an international title. He's won 8. He's won like 9 titles, right? Well, if you count MSI, he's won 9 titles. If you count domestically just that, he's won 8. He's won 8 out of all the trophies that have been between 2016 through 2020. He's been to Worlds top 4, was it twice? Then you also have World Finals. He's one of the Western GOATs, in my personal opinion. He's a really amazing player. Now, a lot of people say that there's the drama with like why Ocelot chose to let Perkz go. There could be a lot of reasons, right?
I mean, we don't know we don't even know if Ocelot went out of his way to do it. To be fair, I want to stress this. This is nothing we know is anything happening in front of the scene. He could have just been upset by playing ADC and he wanted to get out of there. He could have been upset because Ocelot like slept with his girlfriend. It's like we don't know. There's really no information. I do think there was inner turmoil between the two, but we don't know for a fact. So I'm not going to try and stress on that. I'm not going to dwell on that. We're just going to have to accept the fact that he's not on the team anymore, and that's really all we can hope for, like, think about right now. Like, later on down the line when more information gets left out, when he talks about, like, what actually happened between the two, because what do you think happens?
What do I think happens? I think the issue here...
also, you decide... Oh, I'm just reading that.
I can make up different scenarios I think happen. So, I've played, back in my day, I was on sports teams. I played on I only actually played tennis, actually, so. Okay, so, I'm going to tell you guys a story. You guys aren't ready for that story. You guys are a bunch of young kids.
Okay, so let's forget about that.
You're in your Season 8 League of Legends.
Right.
We've been watching since Season 4. We're some old men. If you see us play League of Legends, we are some old men. This man's over here telling me to do something that you have to do in like Season freaking 5. I'm like, why? Why am I doing this Season 5 crap?
Don't start acting with that. This man...
I'm like, I can't gank right now. I need to go get the jungle. He's like, you have to gank consistently because it's the tempos. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm over here
I'm at level 1. I'm at level 1.
Okay,
I'm over here like level 1, and he's like, gank for me at level 1. What the fuck?
What world do you live in where this happened? Whatever. Regardless of the fact, the big thing right now is the fact that Reckless did not leave the team. A very common thing between sports teams is the fact that they use this time right now. They won't actually deny. He's not denying the contract right now. What he's doing is he's not accepting the contract because he wants to see what's like. There's no reason for him to just take the money when there could be more money on the table somewhere else. This right now is the fact. What is happening right now is he's looking at what is going to be offered to him because he's a very high sought after person. There's no reason. I didn't put that on there. He did that himself. I didn't even realize it was there.
Some days he's mean and he doesn't understand it. And I have to show him, you got to calm down, man. Okay. So in all honesty, let's start from this. So after they lost to IG at the 2018 World Championship, you know how they dropped Wadid and who was the other guy, Yarnin, right? So they dropped them. They get Perkz. Perkz role swaps to AD carry because he wants to give up mid lane because he thinks Caps is better. These are legitimate things he said, right? What I said in last night's podcast was that taking Caps in was always going to result to this no matter what, because you already brought in a mid laner and they were always going to be competing for mid lane. He only switched to AD carry because it was the better chance to let G2 win Worlds, right?
I do want to point out, we don't even know if this is the reason he left, so I'm
just going before. This is before. Now I'm a fast forward. So like fast forward, you know how they re-signed G2 before like Worlds happened this year? So that's their way of locking down the players, so just in case like anything goes wrong, they can sell these players for incredible amounts of money. They already locked down the G2 players early on, because you know how like certain teams go, like you think everything is like rainbows and sunshines, but when shit hits the fan. After they lost to Danwon, you could tell they were not happy. They wanted to change, and that was the initial problem of bringing over Caps, was that Perkz at some point was gonna want to go back to mid lane, but now you have Caps, who's the best mid laner in EU. So he's not going to want to leave mid lane.
I mean, you're really going off of just an imaginary timeline that you think is a guaranteed fact. Like, but this doesn't even... We don't even know if this is why he left. And
they asked me what I think.
You didn't say this as a theory. You keep talking about he has a gay haircut to be Thorn 2.0. That is fair enough. One, I do want to point out, though, that the... what's it called? He's probably trying to pursue the contract right now. That he's not actually just completely denying the contract. He's trying to see what options are on the table. But again, I want to point out he actually specifically asked for Niski to be on the team. Like, he went out of his way to say, you need to get Niski as my mid laner. He didn't. It was not anything else besides that fact.
Wait, for what? For Caps?
Yeah.
What'd you say Niski for?
No. We're talking about why Reckless. He said, he's leaving. Yeah, Sparse Gaming.
My brain just blew
Sparse Gaming. He said, if I saw Niski as my mid laner, I'd be running to D2. But he specifically wanted Niski on his team. Where's the world going? That's what I was about to say. No. Reckless specifically wanted Niski on the team. That's what he said earlier.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, but then why would he not re-sign with Fnatic then if he specifically asked for Niski?
No. He asked for Niski. It's like saying this is one of the things that would get me to want to keep staying here. What he's doing by not accepting the extension, as he's either forcing them to pay him more money or looking at what the other options are on the table. It's not that he doesn't want to be on the Fnatic. It's not one of the options on there.
So it's really hard because okay. So what do you think about Perkz leaving G2? Like, what was your thing with seeing Perkz after all these years? Did you even think he would ever leave G2?
I mean, I thought, honestly, he would probably eventually take the spot back from Caps, because Caps doesn't have the same demeanor he does when it comes to being able to bounce back from a loss. I think that's one of the qualities that I think has always been the best part of Perkz. And I don't see that staying staying as an identity of this team without Perkz on it, because he was one of the driving forces behind that.
You don't think that Wonder, Yankos, or Mickey X, or Caps can be leaders?
I'm not saying they can't. I don't know anything about that, and there's really nothing we can say to whether or not they aren't the leaders of G2 without actually seeing what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not trying to go to that extent. I mean, there's really no information, but I do think that is going to be, from what I can see right now, I do think that there's going to be a larger discrepancy between whether or not he can actually keep that going. Like, again, without him on the team, without the person who's been one of the most mature people on the team in terms of just, like, how they handled the losses, I don't know what it's going to be like for this team. I feel like Niski and LEC would be worse than Nemesis, like he would be bottom tier. No, I mean, Nemesis we saw Niski in there 2 years ago. He looked really, really good towards the later half of the year. Like, I want to point out, like, in the summer split, he looked like a really solid mid laner. Like, there's absolutely was nothing wrong with him during that point in time. Nemesis was really bad. Niski, I didn't.
No, like, here's how I see it. I think Niski is an actual upgrade to Nemesis, because we saw in 2019, Nemesis was pretty solid, right? Top 4, mid laner probably. But in 2020, he wasn't that good at all. Nemesis only played well at Worlds 2020. I'm just being honest from what I saw. Like, Cass was better, Larson was better, Humanoid's better, Zazie on SK Gaming, I think, was better. Abadage came up. He was better.
That Perkz is looking for the largest contract possible. I'm sure he will still play his best, but imagine he's the 5 million payout is directly to G2 from my knowledge because it's a buyout. I mean, like at this point in time, he's not really actually getting any of the money. Like it's the same contract. They're just buying the contract from G2. Is that not what's happening?
It's
like he's not looking. They're paying G2 to take his contract, is what I understand. I don't know if that's a fact. That's what I grasped from it. So I'm not going to say that's guaranteed if somebody has more information on that take. But I do think...
Couldn't Fnatic have gotten an EU mid? They did.
Niski is literally from the EU.
Like, yeah, he's Belgian, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I just know he's from EU because that's where he started out at.
Also, I want to say before we continue, this is the most people we've actually had watching ever, which is like 18 people. If you guys could please do me a favor and like the stream, so that way it gets more recommended. So just thank you. Just please like the stream. That's all I ask. But thank you all for being here. Okay. Though.
C9, what do you all think of TSM SwordArt? I think that's going to be...
Yeah, we're going to get to that right now. But is there anything you want to say about Perkz to like sum it up?
I honestly, again, I think that is like, are we going to talk specifically about Cloud9 later on? Because if we're going to do that later on, I'll wait till that. But I do think this is one of the biggest. This is actually an extremely good upgrade because they did actually lack the leadership capabilities to be able to bounce back through a loss.
What's up, Atar? How you doing, man?
Yeah, there was a lot of mental problems with the team that I think are going to be addressed with somebody that's able to take over that aspect of the game. Perkz is worth the money due to the value he brings. He's not just a good player. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to bring the leadership capabilities that Cloud9 100% lacked before. That's one big reason as to why I think that what's his name, Sven pursued him so often, because he was able to see what he was able to do on G2.
There was the also thing, if they get Perkz, I think there was a clause where they could also potentially get Mithy as well as their assistant coach. So you'd have Reignover, Mithy as head and assistant. So like Fnatic, since they let go of Yamato Cannon, Mithy could be going to Cloud9 as the assistant coach. So you'd have Reignover, Mithy, Sven, Perkz. It's just all G2 of 2016.
I mean, I don't know if I'm not sure how sold I am. I really did like Fnatic looked really good in terms of the drafting phase against Top Esports in the first 3 games of the series. I think they looked really good against them, and then towards the later half they tried to stop playing towards their strengths and started playing towards where they equal team to this team, and that's where they started struggling, and I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to have to happen. Thoughts on Blabber and Perkz strategy? My take on HL was what's going to dictate. See, you can't quantify how good synergy is going to be before it actually comes into play. We don't know how good the synergy is going to be. I honestly think that Perkz is one of those types of people who gets really, like, he knows how to adapt to pretty much everybody's playstyle. So I expect good synergy between the two, but at the same time, like, there's really no way to really say whether or not it's going to happen. I just think that if somebody is going to be able to come into the team and be good with
I think it's hard to really say, because if I'm just envisioning what Perkz and Blabber synergy would be, I think it might actually be worse than Niski and Blabber. Because if I'm being honest here, Blabber, it depends on which meta we're going to get. Which jungle meta do you think we're going to have in Season 11? That depends. And Blabber is a very dependent meta
as
jungler.
It stands right now, I think the massive amount of junglers right now are all tanks. The lowest win rate inside of solo queue right now is Rengar jungle, which is absolutely incredible to me. Which kind of shows the kind of the transfer. Like, there are some good junglers, obviously. Kha'Zix is pretty solid in Platinum Plus and all that stuff. But for the most part, it's really dominated by tanks. Like, Amumu has a 60-something% win rate.
If you're just thinking about it, like, just next year, the 2020 LCS season, could you really see Perkz and Blabber working well? I don't see them really having, like, that great dynamic synergy that Niski and Blabber have.
I don't understand. Like, the whole point of it is Blabber kind of functioned himself around Niski. And that is something that I think will work even better. Who do you think will take 4th place, since we assume TSM will take 3rd in terms of rankings? I actually think that 100 Thieves is taking 3rd. So I think 4th place, 4th place is probably going to be TSM, in my opinion. I think that I actually want to, like, I want to address, like, who do you think will come out in top Team Licorice C9? Do you want to go through the rankings of the teams right now, just the top 4? And
Team Liquid, TSM, Cloud9, 100 Thieves. All right, so unpopular opinion, I don't think TL will be as strong as a lot of people are making him out to be. I think they'll be one of the best teams, if not the best. But the issue here is that I think that Santorin doesn't really inherently fix the issues that Broxah had. I think he add some value in terms of they're going to be better mid-jungle duo, which they want. They're going to have a really strong bot lane. I think Tactical played really well at the 2020 World Championship, but I also think that Santorin is not going to be able to up the pace of the game consistently like they want to. Basically, Team Liquid want a jungler like Blabber with the mind of Santorin. That's what they want, but you're only getting the mind of Santorin. You're not getting the Blabber part. But
I do want to point out, the reason that I think Team Liquid had
but I do think they're first place, though.
No,
so.
Yeah, Team Liquid had a very big problem right now last year, which was actually their ability to play in the early game because of the fact that Impact is pretty much only able to play low econ. Low econ top lanes are really only able to kind of play team fight oriented tanks and stuff like that. He could play Shen for the most part, which is really the only non straight up pure tank that he could play, and even then, it's still a really big tank. But I think for the most part, if we look at this right now, with the ability of Alphari, who's more dominant in terms of the laning phase, this actually opens up the stage for them to be able to play 1-3-1 comps, which actually come online during the early-ish mid-game stage because they're able to play, they're able to kind of transition their top laner into the bot lane early on before Baron spawns and they can get pressure in terms of that earlier on.
But I like that too. In my opinion, Santorin is the best jungler possible for TL. He's going to unlock core JJ. I think the great thing about Santorin is he does play really well with his teammates. That's something that goes really underrated, though. He plays really well with the people he plays with, but he's not mechanically so strong.
No. I don't want to go. Again, the big thing that I have a problem with Santorin right now is the fact that he's only strong in objective-oriented metas. Right now, dragon stacking is a pretty solid thing, so that is the reason as to why I think that he is in good shape right now, because again, with dragon stacking, with him being kind of more centralized around focusing on securing those, I think he's pretty solid on that. But again, if we look at a few series, I think we could look at the TSM series versus FlyQuest in the first series, in the first split. We actually saw, if I can remember correctly, I brought this up many times right now, but I think that Santorin is obviously all around a better jungler than Dardak because he's better in the mid game. But if you look at the gank discrepancy, he had never initiated a solo gank on his own in the entire series. Everything was led on by Ignar. He had 0 ganks, I think Dardak had around 8 to 9, which is actually a little bit incredible. I think that Santorin all around succeeds in this meta. So Closer is 100% better than Santorin.
I think that's though. Why didn't TL? Okay, we can't really get Closer because of import rules. That's the problem with that. If the import rule didn't exist, TL would have definitely went for Closer. I know they would have.
I just think that, again, if we look at international, I think that Santorin's just not that good internationally. He's just not that good of a jungler. I mean, all around.
He's consistent. He's consistently smart about the game.
Doesn't mean anything.
He's consistent. He knows how to path very well. He plays very well with his team. Those are good qualities you can't find.
Those are average. You can find those in a lot of if we look around inside of the rest of the regions. No, I'm just saying, if we look around at the rest of the regions right now, there's a lot of, honestly, he doesn't compete with the international junglers. The top 3 junglers in EU, the top every jungler in every other region, he's just not that good. And that's one of the biggest problems I have right now is the fact that all of the junglers in the rest of the regions are so much better than the best of what we have to bring. That just really makes him look even better when in reality, he's a slower paced jungler that actually doesn't work around his lanes as properly as you would see from other regions. He doesn't make things happen on his own like Selfmade does. He doesn't secure objectives and then play to his own strengths like SOFM does. I think that all around, we can see the NA junglers, none of them are uniquely impressive, but I think that Blabber has really good upside. I think that Closer has all around the best play out of all of them. I think that Santorin is good in the specific aspect that's the meta right now, but all around there's really no one that's that impressive.
I think if you're Blabber, you want to really play toward anything Perkz is going to be able to bring. Because I think Perkz, he'll be able to, hopefully, dictate where Blabber does around the map. But that's my thing is that, is Perkz and Blabber synergy going to be any... Niski and Blabber have really good synergy. People really underestimate how strong the synergy was.
Perkz is just literally a better player than Niski and a better leader than him, in my opinion. So I think that if Niski can adapt to Blabber, I think that Perkz is going to have no trouble with it. Niski doesn't do anything that Perkz doesn't do. Literally all around, Perkz is just just an optimal player.
But you said for Team Liquid, so I personally think that if you're going to international events, you want the playstyle of Blabber with the mind of Santorin, but you don't get the playstyle there because when they faced top esports in that very first game, Santorin got so clapped. They lost in 3 minutes about how badly they were all playing. like, I don't know. That's why I said, like, I'm really skeptical about people really ranking TL, like, at first, because you kind of factor in, is Santorin really going to be that fix that they really all need, though? He kind of is just a more better version of Broxa from what he played
No. I don't want to say that. I mean, I think let's look at the reason. Let's look at the weaknesses right now of Cloud. I mean, Team Liquid. I think that Jensen is a jungle, like a mid laner that is kind of relying on a lot of jungle pressure. I do think he likes to play around his jungle, and while we have with the pick of Alphari and just the stay of the bot lane, we have a top laner who is literally, if you look at the stats, he's the single most like targeted top laner. He was the number one top laner in terms of just first blood victims out of all of EU. He is an extremely aggressive top laner who's just lane dominant, and if you don't focus ganks around him, the enemy team is going to do that because that's just how his play style kind of requires the jungler to play around the game. If you don't focus ganks around Alphari, you're just going to genuinely lose that lane. And on top of the fact, we have the bot lane now, who's CoreJJ is one of the biggest pushers of the pace in terms of just how Team Liquid is going to play the game. If you don't play around bot lane, you're gonna lose a lot of the pressure that CoreJJ is gonna be able to dish out. So all around, like at this like kind of situation they're at right now, like we're gonna see a situation where I think Jensen has to take the third seat in terms of just how he's gonna be able to get the resources, how he's gonna be able to get the
advantages,
the jungle like attention, and right like we've never seen Jensen in this spot, and I think what is going to happen in this team is whether or not Jensen's going to be able to adapt to this like kind of identity that he's never had before, and whether or not this team is going to actually accept that this is the way they have to play the game, because we don't know actually. Like we don't know if this is actually how they're going to play the game, because this is just how my interpretation of it, but they could expect the game to be some different way because they're seeing things that I'm not seeing behind the scenes. But I don't see a world where Alphari isn't the most ganked person on this team, and how you don't focus the jungler around roaming around the map with CoreJJ. So like, where does that really leave room for Jensen at this point in time? Like, I agree.
This is for my boy Perkz, who
he's 100% better than Licorice, man. I mean, no, I actually disagree. I think that Licorice actually looked better than him for the most part in most situations. Fudge looked really good, but again, look at the players he was competing against. He competed against Dolclaw. He competed against other players like that of that caliber.
Darshan.
He was the single best top laner in Academy, and it was a very big margin between him. But I think that his highs still aren't to the length at which I think that Licorice's highs were. The reason that they picked him up, first of all, is because Licorice had a downtime recently. He played really poorly during the later half of the summer split, and he just looked like one of the worst top laners in the league. And then on top of that, I mean, we're going to have a situation where not only did he look like
Licorice that right here. Poorly, I like that.
What?
Jensen can body anyone 1v1 except personal PoE. So if you're talking about basically Jensen having to take a back seat, but wouldn't you want that player to be Jensen? Because he's good enough to handle. He's good enough to handle that on his own.
So what I'm saying right now is you're going to have to give a lot less resources to Jensen, because two of them are resource hungry. You don't have a low cost anybody on this team now. Like even the jungler is relatively high.
What if they force Alphari to be low econ?
Then you lose the entire game because he's never played that way in his entire career. Alphari is genuinely, in my opinion, I'm going to say this right now, I think this is going to be really criticized, but I think he is more valuable as just a carry than Jensen is. And I just think that internationally, I think Alphari can compete with the best top laners. Or so as I don't think Jensen can compete with actually he played pretty well in his group season, but all around, I would not want to take away resources, because Jensen, I think, is good on these tank stylish supportive mid laners, and I still think he's going to be able to play assassin mid laners because they don't require as much farm to be able to get ahead. They usually roam around the map effectively. Never really demanded a ton of resources. He deferred to double lift. You don't see, this is how it works right now. There's two lanes to get farm in. There's one lane is going to be the mid lane, obviously. You sit in the mid lane. The second lane is going to be the bot lane, because that's kind of where all of the what's it called is around. That is where all the resources are going to be around to be able to pick up around the map. The third lane is going to be the one that you're not able to do, because if the top laner's TP is down, you're not going to be able to get all that stuff. You have to defer the resources in the side lane wherever the objective is not going to be around. So there's two lanes that can get farmed. It was never really deferred resources. There was resources to share because Impact was so low econ. He's never been in a situation where he's had to give resources over to somebody. Fudge's TP times in team fight or real man, my man was playing. I'm gonna be honest. Again, I didn't watch every single game. I watched the finals of both, against TSM. I watched a few of the other games, but for the most part, I'm not going to watch every game of the academy scene. So if there's games where he did incredible things, I could have missed out. I'm not going to say that I know everything about Fudge. But again, at the same time, I'm not going to say that my interpretation of what he did in those specific games were incredible. Like he was by far and away the best player, and he's still going to be a top 5 top laner regardless of the situation, in my opinion, in terms of just next split. But whether or not he's better than Licorice already is kind of a toss up, in my opinion. I don't know if that's the case yet. But Team Liquid solo lanes we expect them to win solo every game. He's not going to need that much attention. It's more about the resources that they're going to be able to give to him. No. If you've watched more than me, I'm going to trust you on this. I really didn't. I didn't watch enough of it, so it's possible that I'm just completely wrong on this. And he played really well, except for that series. But Someday will smash Fudge. I mean, Someday's done well against everybody. It's not if you get smashed by Someday, even like a pretty decent amount, and you bounce back the next time, it's fine because Someday is going to get the better of pretty much everybody eventually. Like that's just how he plays. Like that's just how good of a player he is.
What else roster did you say? Top 4.
Top 3. Let's look at Cloud9's right now. I think that Cloud9 has the most interesting one because there's so many question marks in my opinion.
I think the only question mark is like Blabber because we kind of know what we're getting.
We don't know what we're getting out of Fudge.
No, because do we?
No, because we don't know what level is going to translate over. Right now,
Blabber's their biggest question mark.
I'm not saying he's
Fudge. Then yeah, I would say that.
Fudge, Blabber. We have. I honestly, those are the big 2 for me. We have Perkz, who I think is going to translate pretty well. But again, for the most part, I don't think he looked incredible during the summer split. But at the same time, I still during the summer split. But he looked really good in the playoffs, so I'm going to give him a pass for that. And I've never seen Fudge play. There's a really good series if you want to see what I think was a really good interpretation of what his play is. You can look at the TSM Academy versus Cloud9 Academy series. They have a big old thing on it on YouTube. I don't have a link to it right now, but
I would say if you want to watch someone type in C9 Academy versus TSM Academy. Just watch him just wreck.
Did you just repeat what I just said to a T and then just you emphasized it like you were saying a different sentence, but said the exact same words? I think we should trust Cloud9. No, I mean, again, I don't want to trust him too much because at the same time, there's nobody left in the coaching roster that was there for the development of a lot of these players. Rainover was still a player when a lot of these players were developed. There was still the 2 players that were literally there on the roster. So is there still a good development scene on this now? We don't know. We don't know if their development scene for developing talent is still going to be up to the level as it was before.
I thought they only just changed out Reaper. I thought that was the only thing they changed.
Rapid Star. Why do we keep going
Rapid
over
Star?
this?
Oh.
Why do we keep doing this? That's 2/3. That's 2/3. I don't understand. Fudge is a stud.
They could hire Golden Glue to be part of their.
Okay, I want to point out Blabber Perkz synergy is a big question mark. You can never know how good synergy is going to be until you see it on the table. You have to see there is one question. One big problem I have Blabber is if he's able to play a more reserved playstyle because he's kind of just a mindless aggression blob of aggression is just all he plays. Do you think we get the real Perkz at a lesser version? I mean, we don't honestly. He has not played enough mid recently for us to know. Really, we have nothing to go off of besides just kind of this is how much I believe in Perkz. This is all I can honestly at this point in time.
I mean, that's a decent question because how well do you think Perkz did when he played mid?
I think he played
in the spring split for LEC.
If we look at there's 2 interpretations you can look at. You can look at his first Rumble game inside of the Mad Lion series where he played really well, or you can look at the second Rumble game where he went 0-9, I think, and got completely dumpstered. And I don't know, those are there was a lot of questionable games in terms of just what I saw out of him during spring 2020. I don't think he played that well. I actually don't think he was that. He was not
arguably
level.
Probably on the top. It's hard to say. Was he on the top 4 level?
No, he was. He was definitely top 4. But we expect him to be number 1.
That's a question mark, though. For me, that's still a question mark top 4 because Nuke Duck completely collapsed. Nemesis wasn't playing that good. There was really that many good. Larson was playing pretty well. I thought. Who else was it? Humanoid played pretty solid. I just think that we last saw Perkz play mid in the LEC spring 2020 spring split. He was top 4 material, so that's good. But the issue here is he just played off ADC. So seeing him translate over to see him playing really well mid again, it's a question mark. That's why I said initially, will Blabber and Perkz be really good? And Fudge is also a question mark. I think the bot lane scene I have will be fine. I think
I love
Zen
I
and Vulcan
love
will be fine.
Vulcan. I love Vulcan so much. He's just genuinely my favorite support in the league still. Like, he's not the best, and he definitely wasn't the like. I think he looked the best like during one split, but for the most part, like Vulcan just has such a good like mixture of tools in his kit to be able to succeed as a player. And like that's something that you don't see out of a support very often. You won't see a lot of versatility between them. They usually have one specific playstyle. But he succeeded on a lot of picks. And like I think that honestly we're gonna have if we ever gets down to Cloud9 actually going and Mad Lion's getting that good, I think we have like a clash of Kaiser versus Vulcan for quite some years after this, because I think these two are like those are the top two young supports in the league by far. Like those two are absolutely incredible. And I want to see what level at which both of them can get to, because there's a lot of I think mechanically he's really good. I think he's just overshadowed by Core JJ. He actually again, Core JJ it's not mechanically better. This like obviously it's not really what shines on Core JJ. Obviously he's still really good mechanically, but Core JJ just has such a mixture of just like intelligence, macro sense. He just knows when to roam around the map and knows what positions to get in to be able to make effective roams. Larson, Humanoids, Perkz were all around the same level, but I only watched the playouts in other two games, so I'm limited. Well, I mean, again, that's the problem. Like Vulcan, I think that peak Perkz is number one in the LEC during Spring Split, and that's by far. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be Core JJ and SwordArt. I honestly think Core JJ played better during Worlds. It's kind of a toss-up, actually. I really liked SwordArt, too.
Like, this man is just Goober always fanboy for his supports.
I do, actually. I mean, obviously, since I'm a support man, and that's what I played for the most part, that's really my favorite role to watch. I mean, it's not exciting, honestly, but there's so much more to the game. There's a lot of ward pressure you can put around the map. There's a lot more freedom to roam around the map to be able to do something. It's one of the more macro based roles beside like jungle is obviously number one, but like it's just a fun role to play. Like,
let's see, we're gonna move on to TSM in just a minute, guys.
I'm out of Sejana. I literally play only engaged supports. I play Thresh, Leona, Pyke, Taric, Alistar, Braum, Nautilus. I mean, I play around.
I've never seen this man play Nautilus in his life.
What? I literally just played him 3 games ago. Hello?
He said Nautilus is an easy champion. I don't want to play that trash.
He is very boring because he's so straightforward. Like
but I want to show you guys in the chat. If you guys didn't actually watch the other podcast I did with the other guys, our Worlds 2020 awards. If you guys didn't know what they are, the awards went as follows. The Worlds 2020 awards we're gonna have for always, till the end of time, because we're always talking about League of Legends. So the awards include the Bjergsen Award, the TSM Award, Worlds 2020 MVP, Worlds 2020 first and second place All-Pro team. Then you also have who are the other awards right here? Let me go to it. MVP, Pro Teams, TSM Award, Bjergsen Award. That's pretty much it. So,
all right, I do have a question.
Award went to Kanavi.
It did, yeah. So I do have a question.
Bad.
For Atar, I want you to build something for me eventually and get back to me on it. I want to see what Spirit Visage and Gargoyle's Stoneplate looks, because Spirit Visage actually affects the shield on Gargoyle. So I want to see how good that is against like a heavy AP team. I feel like that would be absolutely busted, but I've never got to use it because supports don't have the gold income to buy 2 items anymore. So I've never actually got to do it. I don't see any world where Jensen bodies Perkz. I mean, I'm not going to say anything's not going to happen. Perkz could literally just not be the same player, all these things. Build like against a full heavy AP team, build Spirit Visage and Gargoyles and do it once round. I want to see how big because that has to be absolutely incredible against a heavy AP team. I just can't do it as a support. You don't have the gold income. But again, I think one question I am going to have right now is whether or not Perkz comes to form and what Jensen does with the new role I think he has on the team. Like, there's too many question marks for me to expect anything to happen. I think Jensen can body Perkz at least early. Perkz has some adjustment period. I hope Perkz doesn't end up like Broxa. Brohax. But to be fair, Brohax did not look great in his last season with Fnatic. He was one of the question marks on Fnatic and the reason why they weren't. Whereas Perkz actually looked pretty decent still recently. Like, he didn't look incredible. Yeah.
All right. So, as you guys know, TSM made some pretty big changes this offseason for 2020. So, Bjergsen retired, and they're replacing Bjergsen with Power of Evil. And then that means you also are keeping Spica and Doublelift, right? Then they announced yesterday, or Jacob Wolf announced, that TSM's newest top laner will be Huni. Like, I could understand why people were mad at that. That is a complete downgrade from Broken Blade. Like, it's like,
did you
it's
say Tony?
Absolute... Tony who?
Did you say Tony? What did you say the top laner's name was?
Huni.
Okay, sorry.
I think you're deaf.
I must be. I don't know how I heard Tony. I was like, I did not hear that announcement.
Oh shit! I was like, them announcing Huni is like a complete downgrade from Broken Blade.
I don't know. Yeah, again, somebody in this chat said it earlier. The reason that I think he was probably picked up is because they're getting SwordArt and they need a Korean-based person to be able to translate a lot of the things that are going around the map to him. I did. Yeah, he said Tony, right? He literally said Tony.
No, I said
straight
Huni.
up said Tony.
No way. Zoomy, you're on my side. I said Huni. You guys are on my side in the chat, aren't you?
All around.
You guys are be on my side. But but then they also announced SwordArt. So it's like you gave me a bad announcement right there, but then you said SwordArt, so people were like, like, I don't know. I think their roster, I don't know.
I'm excited. I'm so excited just because of SwordArt. I want to see. There's going to be 2 incredibly good supports inside of the LCS right now. Yeah, there was. I'm agreeing with. I think Huni can be really good. Will probably do fine on TSM because he won't feel the pressure of having to carry as hard he's had on other teams. Like I just think that Huni is not designed to not be a carry. He didn't have to carry on SKT that one year because they had Faker and Bang playing moderately well for the most part, except in Worlds. But he didn't really bring himself to a supportive playstyle. Like they literally, even SKT couldn't mold him into a tank only player. Like I'm really expecting, like again, if we base it off playoffs, the most recent performance in the playoffs, I think he looked incredibly good, but throughout most of the year he looked really mediocre, and that is something I'm a little scared of. He didn't look
that good on EG Academy's team either. So.
CLG is not part of the 10-man team of the LCS right now. They're the practice. They're gonna be this scrimmage every once in a while. We're gonna have to see a practice game between them and the actually good players, like teams in the league. Like it's actually incredible how they could import over Finn. Like if you're gonna import somebody over, instead of like having like there's decent top laners at the LCS, it's just not Finn is not the one you look for. Finn is not the first person.
Young. He has some upsides to him potentially. He's very young.
Yeah, you know what? They didn't
peak.
It's not like they just straight up imported like what's his name? They didn't import what's his name from FPX.
Oh, Khan.
No, other guy. I always forget his name.
Gimgoon?
Yeah, they didn't import Gimgoon. So it's not like I'm like this is the worst thing ever. Like Finn looked okay in like the very first beginning part of his career. Maybe he bounces back from that. TSM twice is CLG actually broke. Seemed like they go cheaper each year. Well, Diamond's not bad. Diamond's not a bad player. Like, I think he looked really good inside of the academy scene. So we're gonna have to see whether or not that translates into something that matters inside of the LCS scene. Another question mark I have for what's his name? Another one I have for Fudge. But
so in defense of Finn, I think that there's a good chance he has a bounce back season, and CLG nourishes a really young top laner, and they can sell him off to get some money. Other than that, that's one just crazy hypothetical. He could just completely flop and be a horrible top laner. That's kind of all. It's either he's going to do really well, he's going to do really solid, and people will change their opinion of him, or this is what I would probably consider a make or break year for Finn. Because if he doesn't do well on CLG, a lot of people are just going to be completely down on him. He's just probably going to be relegated to like EU Masters or LCS Academy or the other regional league for EU. But I mean, that's also going to give him a pretty iffy point to also do well, because you're giving him a roster of Finn, Broxa, Pobelter, potentially Wild Turtle, and Smoothie. They thought they were going to get Deathly, but they're probably going to end up with Wild Turtle. And then you have so I don't know, you know?
Like, it's like, I don't even understand why you import a bottom 5 top laner from EU as an import when there's literally zero chance. What I don't even. It literally looks like they purposefully sabotaged this like squad. I don't even get it. Like every single person, you can't look at one bright part of this team. Every single person you look at, you like, why did they do this? And it's like It's incredible to me. Like what
They
what
might
through
as,
the minds?
you might as well have just gotten a clearly native North American talent. If you want to save money, if that's the reason for saving money, you might as well have just gotten a native North American talent.
You literally have to look. I feel like it's somebody super experienced in the league because a lot of these players that they picked up, you have to be very knowledgeable to even know who they are. To even know that not only did they find people who are just not that well known, they picked up people that are like relatively terrible, like all around. Like all of these players they picked up are vaguely remembered like bottom 2 players in the league, and it's just like it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's not even a gamble at this point. I would literally rather see Zion Spartan at this point. No, I would like actually because
pick up Hotzer.
Like if Finn bounces back and he actually just dumpsters like someday in the first game against each other, like I'm gonna take everything. We're gonna delete this VOD because I don't want any proof of me trash talking him in the future. But their management is so bad they can't even go budget. Did they spend money? Did they spend money on this roster? Did they not buy? They didn't buy it for coupon. This is a coupon based roster. Like I'm pretty sure there's a buy one get one free deal.
Imagine that Hotzer is teamless and they chose Finn.
That's true. Like that actually is true. Like Finn, like Hotser's not even expensive.
Or like this. Why not just take Alorum, my boy Alorum, who's been on the show before? Give my boy Alorum a team.
Alorum actually looked pretty solid towards for Immortals on a team that actually relatively was pretty poor. Like when they actually started putting in the rookies, I think that the team all around looked better. Like I think Insanity and Alorum not having a team at the very least. Are they going to be on academy teams?
For who?
Both of them.
Insanity's going to be on the main roster for Immortals.
Oh, is he still on there?
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't signed yet.
Their roster is like Destiny, Raze from Legacy Esports. That was a Worlds earlier this year.
CLG just buy? Finn looks good in front of a camera. He does. I'll agree. He's a very handsome dude. So that's honestly something.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
CLG is literally Moomin Rider from one. No, he's not, because like when you look at Moomin Rider, you're like, this is the coolest guy ever, and then he gets socked, and you're like, he's worthless. When you look at CLG, it's like you hate this team. There's nothing positive about them. They should have signed me instead. I'd play for Roof and some Steam Bucks.
What's up, Ravioli? How you been, man? How you been, dude?
Oh my god. I think one big problem I'm going to have with this roster right now is the fact that like there's no future to look towards. If Finn pops off, even then, I mean, maybe you have a roster, but now you have an import slot.
This is the thing, though. If they revitalize Finn's career,
it's
they
still
can
nothing.
Sell him off.
You can't sell somebody off if their contract is low. Like, there's really no reason. His buyout's not going to be very high. Like already because of this fact, so there's no money to be made. There's no positives to this because even if he becomes a top laner in the league, he's still an import.
So generous.
He's still an import. CLG needs to get booted from the LCS. There's legitimately do nothing. I don't want that because again, it is a really historically popular franchise, and I do like just a team from pre-season 1 to be in the league. It would just be unfortunate if they got
it's like out. A disingenuous thing to history to the game.
Cloud9 does CLG have a fan base anymore? I mean,
that's kind of funny. I'm actually gonna talk to somebody from CLG about their roster decisions next month because that's when they'll have their entire team signed, and this person's gonna come on. Did
this person choose the roster themselves?
Were they a part of that? I have no clue. I'll ask, but I don't know, honestly.
Don't ask that. I just don't want to be. I don't want to know.
Honestly, I don't want to know.
I feel
oh my god.
I don't know,
bro.
Man. It's just it's so frustrating that there's genuinely a lot of complaints, and again,
so here's what I think. I think Broxta will get them to try stuff. That's the only hope I got. I mean, I think Broxta is a good pickup for them specifically because I think they need a player like Broxta, someone who's stable, someone who doesn't take too many risks, but he's not that bad either. It just depends. But like Pobelter, I think is a solid mid laner. You know, their bot lane is probably gonna be Turtle and Smoothie. Yeah, guys, you're probably right. This roster sucks.
Okay, so I want to point out there's actually a lot of like hope in my opinion for a lot of like there's some good players inside of the challenger scene and all that stuff. We have NXI who looked incredibly good during the the scouting grounds, which was extremely surprising to me, as I didn't know there were so many good players inside of there. We had Joey, who still has not. He looked good when he was inside of the challenge, like inside of the LCS, and he's never got a team since then. Like there's so many players that I'm just surprised that haven't got a team back after all this time. There's so much possibilities for them to be able to do something, yet they continually use recycled people. Like CLG literally has had like chances. There's people who don't even have contracts that they could at the very least take a chance.
Imagine being a GM and you want to sign Finn, but there's Haunter, there's Kumo. They're just sitting there doing nothing. No team. No, I want Finn, who could only play Malphite. So trash, man.
Sound like Daffy Duck right there. What was that sound?
It's my brain. Okay, so when I talk to this person from CLG, what do I even ask? Why did you pick Finn?
No, I feel like there wasn't a human being that made this roster. It was all computer. It was a computer AI that did all this. They kind of put a bunch of names in there, and they all drew them from a hat.
I actually think Broxa is a good fit for the team. I just think they have terrible players around him.
He's literally contract list, no buyout. You know what? Actually, like I've heard a lot of hype between Fake God. I mean, I don't have too much. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Is he the most like? What about Young B? Like, what about Young B? Actually, I thought he looked. He's no Young B. He's actually another scouting grounds player that I actually saw. Oh. I thought he looked pretty solid. The future LCS teams, all LCS teams will be AI generated. I don't want to hear that. I mean, I don't know. But looking up his CS numbers academy, he's a laning beast. Fair enough. I mean, again, I'm not going to say anything. Again, I'm not the most knowledgeable academy scene. I like to watch and keep up on stuff, but like sometimes you see games in the academy scene, and I know I wouldn't.
Okay, now I know who you guys are talking about. So I didn't really see him doing that well on 100 Thieves when they had him, but maybe he's gotten better since then. I haven't really checked him out ever since he left the LCS.
I mean, I just think there's Evolved inside of the academy scene who, again, I don't think is incredible, but he's still better than like a lot of he's still at the very least a bottom team should try him out. I still think.
Like CLG could have tried him out. CLG could have tried him out over Pobo.
Yes, but they were replacing Someday, so that's a kind of a fair comparison.
Oh, okay. Now I remember. Yeah, they had all these issues in 2018, 2019.
I disagree. C9 does not have the best. I don't think they have the best top laner. It's questionable whether they have the best jungler. I think Closer's probably better than him. The mid laner, I agree. I think they have the best mid laner. I do also think they have the best ADC. The support is a big question. He can go for, I think the top three are like kind of solidified. I think it's going to be between SwordArt, Core JJ, and Vulcan. Thank you. The names are just not great for me. The only, it's like Sven is by far, like I think when Sven is playing well, Blabber, it's
hard to say though. You guys are sleeping on Power of Evil, man. Power of Evil literally flamed Horizon Chovy, who was power ranked like the third best player at the event. Okay. I'm just saying, you guys are like over here sleeping on Power of Evil, man. Power of Evil's really good.
You're crazy on that one.
Power of Evil could literally creep in and be the best mid laner in North America.
I'm not saying that. I mean, he's not a by far and away far third place. And honestly, he could be second to first. I'm not going to say anything about that. But like,
Blabber is better than Closer's better than Blabber. Like that should be go without saying, right? I mean, I think so.
If Blabber takes a step forward, he'll be the best jungler. I mean, I actually think one big problem I have with him is the fact that I've only seen him succeed on a specific aggressive jungling playstyle that again is meta right now, but can he play more towards like he plays a lot towards like roams around the map with Niski, a lot of skirmishes around there. I mean, I don't know how Perkz is planning on playing with Cloud9, so is with less actual help coming from him, because if Perkz doesn't play the way Niski does, his aggressive play on.
But then he would be in the same position that Jensen would be. He would have to play by himself.
What are you talking about?
So what if Blabber dedicates his resources to Fudge and they have Perkz just playing like on his own island like Jensen would be?
Well, no, that's not what's going to happen. Blabber is literally able to play low econ. Alfari is literally the highest econ top laner in the West. Like it's a completely different situation.
He might have to play a different playstyle on Team Liquid.
You literally cannot do it. Literally cannot do it. He's never done it, and he honestly doesn't even have a champion pool that is able to do it. Jensen is not worth more than Alfari in terms of just that aspect of it. You do not want Alfari. Alfari's not worth being on the team if you put him on the Wecon. You would literally just rather have like like impact at that point, because he just isn't that good on low impact. Like, there's literally no reason to have him on the team unless your identity is like, we're going to play around him being hyper aggressive in laning. Better than closer. I mean, I think it's completely justifiable. Blabber looked absolutely atrocious in the second half of Summer Split, and that's not even refutable at this point. I think
people had closer as like the best jungler in the league, actually.
No.
Even when Blabber was popping off, I still think people had closer as like a top 3 jungler.
Right? Again, they did not. If we think about it right now, there's a lot of resources being shed around the map. Top laners can be still high econ if they're playing around 1-3-1 cons. You can still be a high econ top laner if you're playing like that. Because with TP and being in the side lane often, there's not really contestable CS for the side lanes to be able to have. Yeah, you're not giving up. You're not giving up.
On Origin, they played through Upset, and Alfari was by himself, just doing alone. Well by himself, though.
Yeah, literally, look at it. The way he dominated the laning phase, he had the single best CS discrepancy in the entire league by far. He was like 10 CS up everybody else, I think. And then he was also the highest first blood victim because he was so hyper aggressive in the laning phase. That literally defines why he's so unable to play the low econ, because they started losing when he shifted from one of the lower first bloods to the single top first blood victim in the league. They can't win anymore because they didn't allow Alfari to play the game anymore. He literally can't play. If you expect Jensen to be the centralized point of this team, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be the star of this team because it literally they got too many stars on this team for him to be able to take the centralized centerpiece of this team anymore. He's going to be a good top laner. He's going to be a good laner, but is he going to be the same Jensen we're going to expect from? And I don't see it happening. I don't see him being the top. I'm going to get all the resources on the team anymore, because I don't know if I just don't see a world where Alfari gives any up. And tactical, maybe he takes a step back in difference. So this is why Cena need to dominate mid laner so they can enable Blabber. I agree with it. If Perkz plays around Blabber, I think that shores up a lot of his weaknesses and hyper over aggressiveness sometimes. And I also think that Perkz is going to be able to teach him, he's going to be, as a leader, going to be able to kind of rein him in a little bit when he just goes over the top.
But what about even managing Cloud9's thing? What about TSM? Because TSM, it looks like they have a lot of good pieces, but it's all not going to work out. Spica and Huni sound terrible as a top jungle duo. That Doublelift and SwordArt, I think Doublelift and SwordArt will be a good bot lane. Doublelift has played with Core JJ, who's
stopping Alfari. I don't think anybody can stop Alfari. I don't think anybody can. He's genuinely probably
someday probably could.
He's going to be the best laner. I think that he's probably a better laner than Someday is. I think that's the capabilities of this. Someday is a smarter player all around. You don't have to stop him just to neutralize him. That's fair enough. You can outdraft him and make a 1-3-1 comp unable to be played at all. Again, he doesn't have the most massive versatile laning. Champion pool. Again, a lot of his picks. Spica just got overrated because I literally say this all the time, and I don't understand. He's not that he is still a solid jungler. He took steps towards being a better jungler, but he's not there. He's literally not one of the top junglers in the league.
Yeah, Spica, guys, don't let people. Spica's not better than Closer. He's still not better than Blabber.
He's had
what people say.
He did not look incredible on anything inside of the playoffs in NALCS, and except really on set. That was when he looked the best on it. He doesn't know how to play around his map. The map well enough. The team collapsed around it, and he made a few good plays. He was only that guy that didn't mental boom. Yeah, I agree with that. And on top of he just doesn't have the biggest champion pool. He doesn't know how to play. He's not better than Intense Garen. I also agree with that.
That's also true.
Junglers that he's not better. Honestly, he was worse than. He was literally the second worst jungler last year. For most of the year.
Past split, yeah, he was no better than Wiggly. He was compared with Wiggly as the worst jungler.
He was better than Wiggly, but he was the second worst.
That bar is set really high if you're better than Wiggly.
He picked it up during the playoffs and then played well at Worlds for the most part. And people
let's be honest here. He played Jungle Shen. That's what he did.
Let's not take away. He did play well at Worlds. I don't want to say that didn't happen.
No, played well at. I'm not saying he didn't play well at Worlds. I'm saying that a lot of what he did in North America to do well was based off niche picks that shouldn't have worked.
His set pick was the best pick. That's the best pick he had, and that was a normal joke.
I thought the River Shen thing he did was pretty cool.
It was nowhere near as good as this. His set was literally solo carrying them inside of the series, inside of the FlyQuest series. Does TSM even have anybody who understands the jungle with their history. I don't trust Bjerg to be a good coaching jungler. I mean, I think again, when you're looking at the game at like an outward perspective instead of being inside of the game itself, it's a lot easier to be able to like identify problems inside of a team. Like, so you can be an extremely knowledgeable person, but on the spot thinking when all of this stuff is happening, you have to be the one to create the decisions. It's a lot harder. Like, I'm sure Bjergsen 100% understands the game to a finite, like a just extremely extremely detailed level, but can he do it at all in the game? And I don't think he can. Maybe he has a better way of looking at the game when he's not the one with the mouse in his hands. We about to hit 30 viewers, an all-time high. Everyone.
Yeah, this is the highest we've ever actually hit. 30 viewers. Thank you guys so much. You can just, like the stream. Also, if you have not subscribed yet, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You're already here. Just hit that big red button.
Let's not do this 6 times a stream. All right.
But
I think
in terms of like TSM, that's why I might have them fourth in my 2021 power rankings for the first part of when the season starts, because it's really hard to compare. So like, I look at TSM with a roster of people that have a good roster, but it's all kind of all over the place. You have Huni, who I don't think is that good. Then you also have Spica, who I don't think is better than even Svenskeren or Blabber. Let's be honest, he's not really even was he that much better than Smithy? So that's debatable, probably. Then you also have Power Vivo, who I think is like, the third best mid laner. So that's fine. You also have Doublelift, and Doublelift did not look good all year, essentially. And you have SwordArt. Like, you have a bunch of decent, all right players.
But again, I want to stress again the shift in the way that ADC is going to be played is going to give somebody who is aggressive like Doublelift. Maybe he comes back to the form we saw in the previous year, because he did look good inside of 2019. 2020 he looked bad, but that's because for the most year utility ADCs were the meta. Right now we're seeing a shift, in my opinion, towards on-hit ADCs with Kraken Slayer getting buffed specifically in this patch. We have Rage Blade stacking really well. If you get it stacked on every 3 hits, it does about 400 something on hit damage if you have 100% crit. And there's a lot of builds with on hit that you can actually get. We have not talked about Someday Guardians yet at all.
That's kind of what they are, though. Yeah, I like that name though. Someday Guardians.
I just think that all around there's a lot of positions where I think that carry junglers are going to be more meta next year. I think Doublelift is that good. I think Tactical was better last year, but I don't think Tactical played better last year than Doublelift did the previous year. And that's just the way I do it on. Like, that's my interpretation of it. But honestly, again, I agree with that. If Doublelift doesn't bounce back, he's going to make this team completely worthless.
I think Tactical the problem with Tactical, I think, played better than Doublelift most of the years so far. But the issue here is like with Tactical and Core JJ, they already have pre-built synergy. That's the good thing. With Doublelift, he's playing with someone completely different now, and he's playing with SwordArt. And SwordArt, I'm trying to be. Guys, you guys all know this from watching. SwordArt is a roaming support. He does really well off roaming and playing around his jungler. Remember Karsa? Who's the other guy? Karsa, SwordArt, Maple. Okay, you remember when he was on Suning? Who did SwordArt play through? He played through SOFM. So you're looking at SOFM, and I got a really good playmaking support in SwordArt, right? But the problem is, Doublelift doesn't like that. Doublelift does not like when his support roams and he's not in lane with him consistently. Then you also have Spica, who will also not be as good to play through as someone like SOFM, someone like Karsa in the past. That's the inherent problem with TSM, is they have good pieces, but it doesn't look like it's all going to work. Like, they're the most coin-flippy roster we kind of have right now.
They have a lot of high upsides. I think that this roster is built around, man, if this guy does as good as he can do, and they all come online at once, then you have a team that could possibly get first place. But the likelihood of that, all of this all happening at the same time, it's very unlikely. I don't know if it's going to happen. Is an old player in the twilight of his career. He may bounce back, but he'll never be the great ADC once. I'm not going to say. He's like 24. Like, honestly, it's not like he's some 37-year-old man who's just completely all of his reactions are degrading and all that stuff. He still is a young person. I think that he still has the ability to be able to bounce back because, again, the prime of your life is towards the later half of your 20s, early 30s. I think around there is like where everybody primes out in most sports at the very least. I mean, there's no way Huni can be low econ.
Huni's a low econ top. He can play Orin. Huni can play Orin very well.
We don't know
he
how
can't.
old
He actually played Orin pretty shit.
We don't know how old no, Perkz is 21 years old. He literally just turned.
He's not an old man, guys. Perkz is a young man.
I think that the reason that I think that we're not sure if is he 22 now? I don't know.
He'll be.
I mean,
yeah. He'll be 22 next year.
I don't know how old he is, but I think the reason that I think that it's not, I'm not sure if old is old yet, is because of the fact that with how little time there has been inside of the how little time there's been inside of the esports scene, we don't know how old is, because at the very beginning of the esports, everybody is kind of progressively passing everybody up because how new it is. So the younger people eventually become better than they like everybody gets swapped out.
Gilly said when he turns 30, he's going to be smurfing on these kids.
Possibly. But I'm just saying, like, we don't know how old is. People swap out pretty drastically towards the beginning half of it because there's just so many people kind of developing their skills. But, like, once it gets 30 years in and we see the average age still being 20 years old. Is he 27? I don't know. I don't know how old. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything like that. So I'm not going to say that he's going to, like 44 Wathing. Whoa. What was Wathing? What is Wathing? Whoa. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I think that that is a big question I have, is whether or not it's going to be old in the next
we hit 50 viewers. Oh yeah. Thank you, Ziak. Hit the like button. Thank you. He doesn't like guys. That's why he's Thorn 2.0.
Because he does it every 5 minutes. Oh, we got 13 viewers now. Oh, we got 14. He does every time.
You gotta always excite the viewers, guys. You know who's gonna be the best roster this year? It's gonna be TSM, because they know how to build a roster.
You're literally just trying to say counter. Yeah, I think one question I'm gonna have whether or not this team is going to be able to kind of gel together well, because we have a lot of different personalities being put together. Put you on as recommended.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
This man. Oh my God, this man is over here like, I'm glad someone found the channel. I'm sorry you found us. What the freak?
I think one question I'm going to have is whether all these personalities can gel well together, because again, they have a lot of people who I think that no. He's literally just messing around with that.
I'm just joking, Sean. Yeah, I'm just joking. Fire. Oh God, no. I think at highest, so for power rankings, this is what I think most people will put. TL first, C9 second, 100 Thieves third.
I see a lot of people switching. Like, I actually expect more people to put Cloud9 first, because that's just my interpretation. A lot of people aren't going to put as much value on Alfari because he's not as well known a name as Perkz. And again, he was on the last place team in the LEC last year. I think that look at that. Most people are going to put Cloud9. I think specifically I'm going to put Team Liquid in first, just because I think that in the first split, half of the season, we're going to see that Team Liquid is probably the team that takes a little bit, a lot less time to gel together. I think there's just a lot of firepower on this team that's going to be able to pop off earlier. But again, whether or not Team Liquid's, Cloud9's coaching staff is able to put this team together on a pretty, concise level and make them actually able to play together as a team is going to be the question mark for me. SwordArt can see Spica just literally needs to know how to play a lot, more reserve sometimes. He just doesn't know how to do that yet. I just think that, is SwordArt confirmed? I think SwordArt's completely confirmed now, right?
Yeah, SwordArt's confirmed. Yep, they're coming over. Anything Jacob Wolf reports, he's been right consistently.
It is reports. There are some times where
Jacob Wolf. So the esports Manico guy said it, and then Jacob Wolf had his sources confirm it.
The jungle pathing is trash. I mean,
he is. It's actually so bad.
I'm not gonna do I feel like. Yeah, I don't disagree with that completely. At the same time, I think that with this catch up jungle XP, it kind of reserved a lot of junglers that were more oriented toward ganking a lot to be a lot less productive, and then junglers that are a little kind of willing to farm more and then gank, or be able to be more willing to focus on objectives right after that. That was another thing that benefited from this, and that's why we saw a regression from Yankos, in my opinion, during this year, because he's a lot.
If I'm throwing in my bias, I would put C9 first, TL second, 100 Thieves third, and TSM fourth. There's so many question marks with TSM. That's why I have him at fourth. But you could swap him. You could also swap 100 Thieves and TSM. That's kind of the way I look at it. Fifth place, which is the next people on the list, which is Licorice has a team, guys. Licorice is gonna be playing on FlyQuest. So it's gonna be Licorice, Jose Dodo, Palafox. The AD carry could be Johnson, depending on if they can buy it from Dig, and you also have Diamond also as well. FlyQuest might be a surprise. I agree. FlyQuest looks like they're not that bad.
Isn't EG? EG does look good. I agree. I just think that they built a team that is specifically designed to get fourth place and not make it to Worlds, and that is just the most unfortunate portion of Evil Geniuses. I think they built a really decent roster that I would have expected to make it to Worlds last year, but it just isn't good enough to compete at the very top level, like 100%, they can't compete with Team Liquid and Cloud9, in my opinion. Do you think Fly is better sleeper than 100 Thieves? Well, yeah, I'm not going to say, like, again, like, I don't expect Spica to be good. I think Spica is probably going to regress because, again, the amount of time where we saw him as a competent jungler is very low. He looked really bad in all of Summer Split. I'm not sorry, all of Summer Split for the most part. He was like the bottom 2 jungler. He looked decent towards the playoffs, and he looked good inside of the Worlds. He never looked incredible. He never played the if you think Cloud9 is 4th, TSM is 4th, you're delusional. I mean,
I don't know, man.
TSM should be 6th. Again, we have nothing to go off of based off like anything besides roster names. We only have anything to go off of just what's in front of our faces. I mean, I don't expect like Cloud9 to be like, I mean, TSM to be bad. I mean, I think that the possibility of them not being able to be good is very apparent because there's so many personalities on the team. But again, they have a lot of firepower on that roster. Whether or not Huni's able to gel together is going to be a question mark. But honestly, just purely having Power of Evil in NA just makes you not a bottom 5 team because there's just so little competition for a mid laner like that who can just take over the game.
Like, Power of Evil is not bad. Like, that's the thing, though. And they also have SwordArt, who I think will be really good.
Worst team in NA is probably CLG. I mean, I'm not sure that's a question. I mean, they imported Finn. They have Brox, the jungle, right? The mid laner is going to be Pobelter. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm talking about CLG. Who is CLG's roster?
Oh, Finn, Broxa, Pobelter, pretty much Wild Turtle, and Smoothie. If they can get Wild Turtle from FlyQuest.
I mean, I played a massive amount of League with the pre-patch, and I've absolutely loved it. Again, for the most part, the game is extremely overtuned. I think one question I've had is I played against a Duskblade Yi, who 100% he started going invisible inside of team fights, and I'm like, I don't know how to play around this. It is just a very weird thing that can happen. Not always good. But again, for the most part, I think that the itemization in this specific patch with the Mythics can look good once there's more balance thrown out inside of it, because the jungle change was really good. I think without the jungle item, I think it looks a lot better. I think another thing that I've liked is the ability towards the later half of the game. If you get to level 13, place 20 wards, which is always going to happen for support, unless you're like in like gold or something. I don't know. I mean, the gold or below or something. Like once you get into the later half of the game, you can buy an item that allows you to place 4 wards and hold up to 3 control wards and place them. Like it's not place all of them, but like it just gives you so much more control towards the later half of the game. So like honestly, it might actually stagnate the game a little bit, which is something we've always had a problem with. But I think this is going to be a shift towards maybe the Koreans being like, I don't know. Reckless, it's not a rumor. G2 just looks like they're pursuing it, but I'm not sure what's going to happen towards this. I think, like, I'm really excited for the meta right now.
So I did that video earlier. It's like, there's so many, like, that's why there's so many ways for it to work. So, like, personally for me, I personally think that if Reckless wants to be on a better roster, so you're looking at his 2020 performance on Fnatic, and you go, well, G2 beat us all the time. You know, if you can't beat him, join him. That's how I would see it, personally. That's what Caps did.
Again, I expect Reckless to stay on Fnatic. I think the reason he did this, first of all, is because when you opt out of an extension, you get more money if you ask for it. Mm-hmm. Extensions are literally just, this is how much money you're going to get, and if you opt out, they have to offer you more to be able to get you back, and that's just probably the reason why he's doing it. But at the same time, maybe he's being like, what if G2 offers me more money? Because we do have to remember that he did specifically ask... It's not just for money,
though. G2 would even have a better roster, too. You have Wonder, Yankos, Caps, and Mickey X. Like, he's getting an upgraded roster, too, in some aspects.
I mean, I didn't put Thorn 2.0 on my name. He did that because he said I'm mean to him. And that's literally the only reason he did it. I don't like it either. I'm seeing a losing Perkz and getting stronger. I mean, it's all around. I think that Perkz may be the leader. Like, honestly, how are they going to be able to mentally bounce back from all this stuff? Because I do think one of the reasons as to why they were able to be such a strong team is because when they lost, and like if we look at like did this playoffs and all this stuff, and inside of Worlds, we saw a lot of smiling faces on the team. Just kind of, I think that the big reason they were able to be able to do this is because I think that's just the identity, or just kind of the attitude that I think that Perkz has as a leader. But is Nightwing Travis 2.0? I don't know.
No, I'm like how would you say it? I'm like the mind of Stephen Curry, but I carry myself like a Zale.
Like, I like how you make sports references when you just, I mean, it don't matter. Like, I think Nemesis has a horrible personality. I don't know. I just think that without this, I don't know how G2 is going to be, because honestly, on paper, I think that as an ADC specifically, in a meta that's just designed to like have ADCs only, and you can't really play mages or have ability-based ADCs that I don't
What?
think is good right now.
Loco, you're crazy, man.
That's what I was gonna say, Loco Doco. But I didn't know.
What? No, I'm like a combination of like Jad and Stephen Curry. I have the mind and body of an amazing esport player. So we actually peaked at 100 viewers. That is incredible. That's great.
No,
Woo! That's really
you guys
good.
to react to Loco's latest fit. Why are you clapping? That was loud.
That's a milestone. That's a milestone. We have never peaked at 100 viewers. I've never
clap away from the mic next time, man.
I have never. I'm just saying. I have never peaked at 100 viewers, and even in my other main YouTube channel, that's crazy. I'm not Loco Doco. You guys suck. You guys are on his side. Why?
I just think that. I think one question I'm gonna have. Yeah, no, don't easy clap. It's a good podcast so far. I'm enjoying it. I think one question I do have to have about this right now is like, again, I've had a lot of the leadership qualities and all that stuff that might actually be missing with this and how they're able to bounce back this. But at the same time, one question I'm going to have for this team right now is specifically what is going to happen with the ADC position. Because again, if they get Reckless, they have a more traditional ADC that is not that can play both.
But they also get an upgrade too. It's
going to be an upgrade. I think that all around, I think they're going to get an upgrade specifically as an ADC player. But first of all, get better cameras with higher quality. This is a high quality camera. I just don't know how to use it. So like honestly, that's the only problem with it. But I think Perkz is trending. It's YouTube. Oh, that is true. Actually, he probably put Perkz somewhere inside of this.
I'm the genius that runs the operation around here, guys. But
yeah, I bet.
So for me in G2, I think that there's no wrong thing that G2 does here. If you get any ADC outside of Perkz, it is an upgrade, and you make your team even stronger.
Stays with Perkz leaving G2. Fnatic has now. Well, I mean, just all around, I think that. And again, on paper, if we look at just purely the game and not just anything behind the scenes, I think that. ADC wise, I think Perkz is not as good as a traditional ADC as both Reckless and what's his name? Reckless and Upset. I think those are just traditionally better
Reckless,
ADCs.
Upset, again, Crown Shot.
I just think that just what Perkz brings to the table outside of the game is going to be the question mark as to whether or not they're going to be able to make up the difference between that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to put any values on this. I just think that I expect them to be a decent team. If G2 gets Reckless, it's game over for EU. Yeah, possibly. I mean, again, that kind of happened.
We had that discussion the other day. Like, if Reckless did go to G2, that would make every team so much weaker. Upset is the most overrated player I've seen. He always gets hyped up. I mean, I think Upset's good. I think Upset's actually a solid player. He plays like ADCs at a pretty decently, like a high quality level. He's a really good carry oriented ADC. I just don't think Huni and Doubleless egos will allow. That's what I have a question with. There's so many egos on this team, and honestly, how are they going to mesh well together? Because I think Huni's actually meshed well with a lot of teams like that, so I don't think he's going to be the problem. He's really good at like when everybody Huni's actually really good at being able to manage a lot of people. So I don't know if it's going to be Huni's going to be the problem, but Doublelift is going to be a problem. I think SwordArt being into a team where he was just a superstar, he's just at Worlds Final is going to be a question mark. I think that Power of Evil as being one of the most coveted mid laners inside of the West for like the past 20 years is going to be a problem. Like all around, there's going to be a lot of egos on this team, and I'm not sure how they're going to balance them. So I don't know about TSM. That's the big question mark for TSM. Does Huni take up an import slot? He does not, because all it takes to not be an import now is to get a green card. It doesn't have anything to do with years anymore. Literally, Huni has been here for less time than Someday, and Someday's not is still an import, where so is Huni is not. I think we have to get Doublelift a back seat. I don't know. I actually don't know about that. I think that we're gonna have to see whether or not, because again, this is the first season where I think that Doublelift wasn't one of the top ADCs in the league. I think that you had FBI, Sven, and Tactical who were completely better, and Bang was better too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, all around we're gonna have to see. Let's hand out green cards. Yeah, I wish it was just that easy to do.
Yeah. You just freaking make them in your backyard. Just give somebody a green card.
Yeah. Like we're gonna have to see whether or not they're able to adapt to this, like kind of like what the meta. No, but Johnson was better than him. Johnson was like the second best ADC in the league, maybe.
Oh, you also have Johnson too. Like Doublelift was like the 6th best ADC.
Byleth is trolling for a while. No, it's not just the Byleth. Like you can always identify again. Biofrost was obviously playing poorly, and I don't disagree with that. But you can also point out the flaws that Doublelift had. Doublelift is, I mean, again, Sven, when he's playing well, is the best ADC, and I don't think anybody can take it.
I agree with that, Sean. I agree with that. Sven he played really well this year, man. Oh my god.
Played like a goal player.
No, he didn't play like he existed at all. My man, oh my god.
No, because of gold layer. the gold player would have kept running, like trying to roam around the map and letting his mid laner.
There was a game at Worlds where Bifrost was playing Alistar.
I actually don't think that was his. Whatever. No. It's been 1 year though. Like I don't want to like. Let's not exaggerate. It's not. He's not been bad for the entirety of his career. It's been bad for a specific season that was designed in a meta that really he's never been suited for. It is a low econ ADC role that 100% doesn't have a lot of carry potential. Again, you can carry. We've seen the likes of like Jackie Love and like all those people be able to play like that. But at the same time, we can see.
Did you see a TSM Legends episode where
I don't watch TSM Legends?
All right, so when Battlefrost picked Alistar into Selfmade's Evelynn, so after they lost, Trees talked to Doublelift and he was like, well, like, why didn't Battlefrost do certain things? He's like, because it's Evelynn. Alistar completely negates Evelynn. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this is the reasons why TSM, I think, will have problem functioning. They literally didn't assume.
It's,
like, come on.
I don't want to say double it like Alistar. Alistar is really decent into Evelynn specifically because his ult negates her charm and her ability to be able to kill him. But at the same time, it's not like you can't really completely negate an assassin, especially in specifically this season. It's impossible because Evelynn can kill you before you can react. Do you think it would have been a viable import to an entire bot lane duo instead, or is it not worth? I mean, I always think it's worth to import if you can because like just if you have the ability to bring in a better player, it's always a better idea because Doublelift is not as good as like other like ADCs inside the rest of the world. I think that if you're going to import an ADC, it's not always a bad idea. But what league ranks? I peaked to D1. Like I'm not the highest rank ever. But
I peaked at Challenger. That's all you guys need to know. That's all I think that.
I think, yeah, Master. Oh, that's really good. Like, Masters is really good. But I think that I don't like Niski as really an upgrade for Nemesis. If Reckless wants to have another real chance at Win Worlds, he has to go to G2 now. It's probably his last season. Diamond, yeah. Huni will end up like Bio. They signed Bio thinking he'll come back to form, but same. Yeah, that's a lot of what year? No. Don't listen to this man. Like, I think that all around, I think that the question of like. With Biofrost, he'd been playing he played moderately well in the previous team. I think he wasn't that bad, but it's just a big question mark. Is I think that TSM specifically previous to like the previous iteration of Team Liquid or TSM, sorry, specifically had an identity that was always put into play that you had to conform yourself to be able to play around, and it just kind of negated a lot of the strengths of a lot of players coming to this team, and I don't think that's going to be a problem coming into next season because I think one of the biggest people that kind of instigated this was Bjergsen. So that is one thing that I think is going to fix it. I think that seeing that as a less seeing him as a less as not on the team anymore, I think they're going to be able to play a lot more versions of the game. On the assumption that G2 Reckless isn't a thing, I'm going to G2 Karzi or Hansama. I think Karzi is not a bad idea. I think Hansama is not a bad thing. I think that
Mad Lions announced they're keeping Karzi.
Did they announce that? Then?
Yeah,
that's obviously not a.
TSM actually offered a lot of money for Humanoid, and Mad Lions just said no.
I think it would be fair to assume that TSM will not contend for top in NA this year. I think it'll be a transitional year. You can't really make a transitional year putting out this much money. And putting out this much money,
bringing over once they announce they're getting SwordArt, this is not a transitional year for them.
I'm just saying,
my personal opinion.
Too much money used on a specific year, and too many big names put into a roster at the same time in Power of Evil and SwordArt. They're not going. You can't not only afford to be on this much of a negative in terms of just budget in 1 year. You also can't afford to get a lot of these players who, whether or not how many more years they have in their career, because again, Power of Evil and SwordArt have been playing for quite some time. We don't know. We don't know how long it's going to be. Time to grind some duo. I'm sorry to hear that you actually have to play the True, but other teams have spent more time looking at NA years. It's stacked. It is true. I mean, the thing is that TSM is one of the stacked teams. They are still one of the stacked teams. Crownshot would land. I would like to see Crownshot on a top team. I still think he has the potential to be a pretty solid team.
I think, okay, so Frank, I personally think that if G2 doesn't get Reckless, Crownshot and Upset will be their next best bets. Because Rogue is not going to let Hansama go, because I think Hansama has a 2-year contract with Rogue. So their only other better options are Upset and Crownshot. I mean, a lot of people would say Crownshot is not an upgrade over Perkz, but I think he actually played pretty well. I think Crownshot's not that bad. I think Crownshot would be a definite upgrade over Perkz from what we saw from what we saw when Perkz was playing AD Carry Out Worlds 2020. But
why do you keep saying this? Why does he keep saying someday Guardians? What does that mean?
Oh, because we didn't talk about 100 Thieves yet.
Yeah, but why does he keep saying Guardian? What does Guardians mean?
Because they got Golden's Guardians as 4 players.
Oh yeah, I guess technically.
Holy crap!
I was like, what is he talking about? I was like, did he go to Golden Guardians without me? No, I get what you're saying. Like, I think that 100 Thieves is one of the most exciting teams inside of the entire league right now. They have Someday, who's still a really, without a doubt, he's going to be a top laner, like one of the top leaders in the league. Yeah, I don't know why that just made so many problems in my head to put together. But we have an all-around good. Like, what do you think the weakest point of this team is?
For who? For 100 Thieves?
100 Thieves, yeah, 100 Thieves.
That's the problem. They. That's a good question. I personally think the problem with the 100 Thieves right now, grabbing all the 4 players of Golden Guardians, is you factor in this. Did they only do well because of a specific thing? Like, did they only peak at that moment because of how well they were playing? What is their normal level of play? Like, what is their normal level of play for 100 Thieves? Because taking the Golden Guardians roster, which is going to be Demonte, FBI, Huni, and Closer, like, people have to understand this. FBI and Huni, like, they looked really good, but they look really good at a certain point during the past year. Closer looked good all year. I think that's fine. Demonte, I think, is going to be okay. He's going to be an upgrade over Ryoma, but that's the issue with Golden Guardians is we always have that with certain teams where, like, they peak at a certain point and then just completely fall off. So I don't know if that was just a fluke from them or is it going to be consistently good from these players? Because FBI, I think he'll be fine, but is Huni really going to be, like, a top 3 support consistently? Those are the things that I have to
He has not had too many seasons as being a support, so it's definitely Huni was a good upgrade over the previous support. Broken Blade played well at Worlds. I mean, I don't know why.
Huni is an upgrade over who they have, Poom.
I just
like it's not consistent though. Like
he hasn't had many years though. He has not really had bad years. I mean, he hasn't had too many years as a support. I mean, I think the idea of him not being a good support is kind of crazy to me because we haven't had too many seasons to really have him have a bad season. Mid for so long. He's dropped to mid.
Anyone over Aka would be an upgrade over Ryoma to be.
I mean, Broken Blade, even if he did run their training, there's really no indicator. There's no like kind of anybody saying that he did it. So I'm not going to take that as a fact. I mean, if you can come out with what's it called, like some sort of sources and tell me, I'll believe it. But again, it could be plausible, but I don't have any like idea of whether or not it's going to be something that happened. I test who he is a good support. I agree with that. I mean, I think
he's a good support, but we've not seen him consistently at the top yet for a support. So I'm just only skeptical in their level of play.
It's unfair to say that because again, we saw people who like actually like again how many bad seasons has Huni has as support?
Who he?
How many bad?
He was on Golden Guardians for what, like 2 years, right?
As a support?
No, because they played Keith and then they had the other guy before him. So he's only really had because he was on the academy team for a bit there.
He's been a lot better as a support lane. Like all around, I think he's made very big transitions into being a solid support, and that's the kind of way you look at somebody transitioning from a role. You see, Lighter specific. Like a lot of people are saying that Lighter was toxic, and that's the reason they pick him up. That was the whole reason as to why a lot of the teams didn't take a chance on him. Because again, if you are a toxic player, no matter how good you are, the league is an emotionally played game, and if somebody is in there running the whole environment of the team, you can't pick them up. You know how good they are. Like, but at the same time, it seems
Nemesis go to EG. No, Evil Geniuses is playing Jizuke again.
Is mid harder to play than support? Guaranteed fact it is. I'm a support man, and I agree that mid lane is just substantially harder to play. Dardoch is a prime example. Dardoch, incredibly good. We can see a lot of things that he did throughout his entire career were incredible. He was one of the most intelligent players around the map, but at the same time, he just didn't have the maturity to be able to play he didn't have the maturity to be able to play at that level. He just kind of gave up trying to be a teammate and just played the game how he thought it should be played. No matter how good you are at the team, if your team is not willing to play with you on the same page, you're never going to be a good team. I think that support is just not that hard.
Can I find you guys on Twitter? If so, what's your at? Okay, so my Twitter name is this right here. So when I type this enter button right here, I'm gonna type a comment from my main YouTube channel. So right here, if you click on my main YouTube channel name, which is Master Swacking Entertainment, click on that, and in my links on the front page of my channel, Just that's where my Twitter is. If you need to link it, then I'll just do it if you can't find it. But yeah, no problem.
It is not harder, actually. I want to point out one big thing about it is the fact that support doesn't require the CSing. Support is more about roaming around the map and just figuring out what times are proper to roam the map. There's a lot less barrier to execution in a lot of the supports in terms of just champion abilities. Like, I think that I'm not going to say that what about Nemesis? I'll just skip to that. Like, I want to finish this up. I'm not going to say that it's like just the hardest thing on the planet again. I do think that there are barriers to mid lane, and obviously there's still some skill discrepancies that you have to be able to play at to be able to play support at the top level. But no, it's support when you're playing at the top level requires a lot of macro and all that stuff, requires a massive amount of things, but I do think it requires less mechanic. It is about thinking. That's why I like it so much. That's why I specifically play it. That, and I have no mechanics in any game, so I don't do that. Like,
in terms of Nemesis? Oh, Nemesis. I think it's a good idea to replace Nemesis with Niski. The problem is like where would Nemesis go? What team do you think Nemesis could end up on? Because I think
Johnson is just confirmed on FlyQuest. What is FlyQuest?
Oh, FlyQuest team is Licorice, Jose Dodo, Johnson, Palafox, and Diamond.
That seems like a really young team that has a lot of upside, so I'm actually pretty excited about that. That's one of the few teams we're actually going to see that has the ability. If you have a bad support, bot lane is unbearable. Yeah, of course it is. Bot lane has support when you're ahead, has one of the freest abilities to roam around the map out of everybody. You can literally get in top lane, go mid, and then go back to bot, and your ADC, when he's ahead, is able to do stuff. Like, all around, I think that support has the ability to do all this stuff, but it's unfortunate. Yeah, but
wait a minute. If Johnson joins FlyQuest, that means Turtle is going to be on CLG for sure. Yeah, that means for sure Turtle will be on CLG.
Yeah, that is a big question mark I had is where Wild Turtle.
Febvin got dropped by Misfits too. They're playing a young
I do have a question.
Masters mid.
Santorin is literally on Team Liquid right now. He's confirmed on there. But I think that one question I'm going to have right now about all these teams, like, what is Febvin doing? Like, any idea? Has any rumors come out?
He's been released from his contract, and he's teamless now because Misfits are going with the younger
Why is Nuke on a team but not Febvin? Febvin was a very long...
It's going to be Zanzara, Jeskla, Promise Q, Nuke Duck, and some other
Who's good on that? Who's literally good on that team? Jeskla was terrible when he was in the league.
Promise Q was
terrible when he was in any league. Nuke Duck was bad last year. Like, Odoamne would have been a substantially better upgrade. I would have liked Odoamne. Odoamne has had good years, and he was pretty solid last year.
Febvin going to NA again, man. Febvin did not like it over here. I hated it.
FlyQuest are they front ready? I'm just going based off what Chad just said.
He's right. Johnson is going to FlyQuest. They're 100% right.
Febvin should go to GG. I mean, Febvin didn't seem to like it in NA last time he came. We'll see if he actually comes. Or LAC, he confirmed it. What? Febvin was good last year.
He's probably on the Misfits Premier team, their backup team.
I think NA teams would hire Febvin after. I wouldn't think. I'm sure he looked. FlyQuest looks interesting. What do you think about Xerxes? Xerxes is just. I just don't think if you're gonna. It's one big problem I have with importing somebody is that they should, at the very least, since they have a constant import slot, they should be worth that in the import slot. And even if they are an upgrade to what they were before, I think they should definitely be a very large upgrade of whatever you can get from the LCS, because being able to import somebody is just such a taxing thing on a roster. It just removes a lot of flexibility on it. I don't like.
Okay, he said he made a statement he couldn't find LEC's
bad.
Okay,
but he's not overrated. Who rates him high? Who rates Xerxes high?
Xerxes, I have the same issue with Xerxes as I have with Santorin. What issues does Xerxes fix for Immortals? I think he's just a better Xmithie than.
Who is the best mid out of Caps and Niski? I'm gonna have to go with Caps on that one.
Probably. I'm gonna have to go with Niski.
No, don't even. No. I think that
it's definitely Caps. Caps is gonna clap.
Cloud9 is going to get a high viewer boost on their matches because of Perkz. I mean,
but that's good though. That's also a great move for the LCS. It brings more viewers.
It's crazy that NA used to be the high. Everybody from EU watched NA, and then like some people from NA would watch EU, and now it's like the exact opposite. No one watches NA, and everybody watches EU. It's just such a drastic change from when we first started watching. But Cloud9 is going to get. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a relatively not an interesting thing to me. I don't really care if he's it gets them a boost or not, because I don't care about the numbers. Niski should have had a new role named after him called Roamer. He has really mastered the art of being a knockoff version of Doingby. Like, he plays like Doingby, he's just not as
But
good.
I think that's going to be good for Selfmade. Selfmade needs a mid laner that he's going to be able to play through. Niski's going to play. So imagine having Blabber, but now Niski gets an upgraded jungler in Selfmade. That's going to be pretty good. I think Fnatic will still be the second best team in the LEC.
I think Reckless with Hylissang is not the same player. I've said that so many times. Again, I think that Hylissang, when he's on form, Reckless with Hylissang, like Hylissang, when he's on form, is one of the best supports in the entire world, actually. Just not even like specifically you. He's such a good support when he's playing well. But the inconsistencies is where a lot of people come in and be like, maybe he's not that good. But again, I think that if you want to win worlds, you have to have somebody with the upsides of Hylissang to be on your team to be able to win. And that's why I love Hylissang. Hylissang is really entertaining to watch when he's playing well. Both spent like crazy to win. Yeah, smart is crazy. Like, just I don't want to say super smart, because when he sees engages, he's going to go for it, no matter where the rest of the team is at. He's going to go for that engage, and that's just the one big problem. Like, if you see with Nautilus, he actually doesn't play Nautilus as well as the rest specifically, because Nautilus has to go in when he throws a hook. When he throws a hook, there's no, wait, I don't actually want to go back in, and I won't push Q again to go in. He's stuck going in on them now. That's one big thing I have a problem with Hylissang, is that, like, if a team actually coordinates around setting up, like, kind of baits around him, he will always fall for it. Hylissang is the best Western support of all time, hands down. He's just too insane. I mean, it's probably true, actually.
It's a tie between, like, Mickey X, CoreJJ, and Hylissang.
I think Hylissang has been better because he's been in the league for longer. Hylissang has just been, like, and CoreJJ has not been in the West for long enough. I just think that right now, but
it's always been between Hylissang and Mickey X, because even when Mickey X was on Splice all this many years ago, people said he was really good. He just didn't have a good team. Same thing with Hylissang. Hylissang was on Unicorns of Love. People said he was really good, but he never had a good team.
Mickey X was extremely good at Worlds, specifically this year, if we look at that. Mickey X was one of the best supports there. I mean, I think he was the second best, third best in his group, actually. That's kind of crazy to think about, but I think he was still relatively good.
So I want you guys in the chat right now, everyone watching, who is your top 4 teams? List them. C9, or like any of your top 4 teams right now. Give me your top 4 teams, because this guy, David Talpos, which team do you think would be looked as a failure if they didn't win LCS, TL or C9? I would say both. I don't think that there's a wrong answer there, buddy, because C9 spent $5 million on the roster. Vulcan cost $1 million, so that's already $6 million right there. Then you also have to factor in, they brought over Sven's contract's not cheap. Yeah, I would say Cloud9, because bringing over the Western GOAT means something, and people expect you to obviously be the best team. Because when you're bringing over the Western, quote-unquote, Perkz or Caps Western GOAT, depending on who you choose, arguably it's Perkz in some people's cases, Team Liquid doesn't have, like, a GOAT on their team. Team Liquid just has, like, really solid players overall, right? But C9 is bringing over, like, a storied career player. That means more. It's like if the Rockets brought over LeBron James and bought him for so much money, and they would have, like, no titles, and they didn't barely win any finals, you know? That's probably a failure. That's, to me, and that's not just because I have C9 bias, because I love them, and I love G2 as well, but it's literally just, like, you're bringing over such a really good player, and if he fails, I see that as a failure. I think Cloud9's goal is winning Summer and going to MSI. For obviously, it wasn't their fault that they failed to go to MSI, because they couldn't have it, but I think their goal is to be go to MSI, win Summer, go to Worlds, S4C for North America.
You're the only person that said it so far. You put Evil Geniuses at 4th place, and I think that Evil Geniuses does have a good roster, which is kind of crazy.
Spam your teams. Spam your teams. Who do you guys think the top 4 teams will be? TLC9, 100 Thieves Fly, TLC9, TLC9.
Everybody's... But they ended up disappointing it. Well, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think that I don't like to use past precedents on a team that's actually not really related to the previous iterations of it, because again, like, we have 100 Thieves on there, but I think a lot of the coaching changes might be in a good direction.
He is baptized by LS.
No, just saying.
Holy crap.
What happened?
People sleeping on fudge. Man's been baptized by LS. Holy crap.
I'm just saying, like, I think that one big thing I have it around it is the fact that they have no really question marks that kind of, like, carried over to the previous, like, the next parts of their team. And then we're going to see a team Cloud9 and the way down the rest. I don't know. Like, it's hard.
Well, a lot of you guys have C9 as your first place team. A lot of you guys have C9. Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. C9T. It should be
PZ
C9. C9TL should be at the top. But the question is like, who are you putting there? Because I know Sean. He's definitely not gonna have. Yeah, he does have TSM in his top four. He's got C9TL, Fly, and EG. EG's gonna have Impact, Svenskeren, Jizuke, Lost, and Ignar. How do you think that team's gonna fare?
I'm just saying, I think that's one of the few people. I'm actually surprised he's the only one that put EG. Actually, there's been another person that put EG.
There's a few people that have EG. I am and Sean. Yeah, they have EG.
EG is one of the question marks that I have that I actually genuinely think they could be a solid team, and there's a lot of people that aren't actually talking about them. They have a lot of good pieces to the. No, it's not even a question.
No, because like Impact is an upgrade over Kumo because they wanted Kumo to be Impact last year. They wanted a stable top laner that doesn't lose, and that Impact is a stable top laner. I think they got that. I think they got a good player for their team. Ignar is an upgrade over Zazel, and they have Jizuke now, who is an upgrade over Goldblue. So to be fair, they have a better team. It just depends. So how good is Lost going to be? Because Lost hasn't been in the league since like LCS when Echo Fox was in, but he's been on TSM Academy. He's been on various Academy teams.
I mean, he's been playing League all this time.
But the only question mark is Lost, though. If Lost is really good, that could be a dark horse team too. I think so.
It's everybody's putting them as dark. I mean, I think I've seen more hype for them than I've seen Evil Geniuses, who is a tried and tested good team, or so as FlyQuest is a lot of question marks. That's the kind of big thing about it. If we look at a lot of teams that are actually in their shape inside of the other regions, or just purely in just every sport, like if we look at the New Orleans Pelicans, they just traded away one of their best players for a lot of draft picks.
James Harden, right? Didn't the Rockets get rid of James Harden?
They haven't done it yet, but they traded away to Drew Holiday, who is essentially the best player on their, like one of the best players on their team as it stands right now, probably the best one on the team right now, for a lot of picks who were substantially worse than them but younger. Again, we're not expecting this team to pop off this next season, but we're expecting them to be good in the future. And again, the reason that you get so many young people is because not all of them are going to pan out pretty well. Not all of them are going to play really well. I mean, that's the big thing about FlyQuest is honestly expecting every single one of the new talents to be good is just crazy. It almost never happens. Usually it's 1 to 2 of them doesn't pan out, and then you have one good player that came out of that group.
But CLG's been doing a good job picking up talent. They're picking up Finn.
I'm not even talking about CLG. CLG doesn't exist. CLG, like, I think delusional to think SwordArt. The problem is, again, you can base it off Doublelift's last season, and just honestly, there was some merit to that. On top of the fact that Doublelift and
there's some merit to that.
Like, Doublelift and SwordArt's specific playstyles don't mesh well together. There's another reason for that, but I think Doublelift is going to have a bounce back year because we're not going to see utility ADCs dominate the region or the meta like we did last year. Like they're just genuinely not going to be the big question mark again. One thing about why on Palafax, there's just not enough competition for him inside of the academy scene for him to say,
hey, I'm with some of you guys. I don't think their bot lane's going to be good because the issue with TSM's bot lane is like Double doesn't even like when it supports Roam. Like,
no.
That's a counter.
He played with Core JJ, dude, and he played extremely well with him. That's just
Core JJ was the man in that relationship there. He had no choice but to accept that.
I'm saying he can play with roaming supports. It's just something that he's not incredibly good at. Like I think that I'm expecting a team I'm expecting.
She said it's ADC. He said it's ADC. It's AFK. So I guess I'm back.
Well, my ADC is AFK. That's usually how my ADCs go. I miss like a thresh hook, and they're like, you know what? I'm not even gonna play with this. I'm just not coming back, and that's how they do it with me usually.
Oh my god.
No, I mean I have question marks honestly. Like I don't know how good this team's gonna be specifically, but at the same I expect there's a lot of talent on TSM. There's a lot of talent inside of the bot lane specifically. They could bounce back. I just don't know if it's gonna happen. He died level 2 after you told me. It's because I didn't gank after a red buff as Mundo LMAO. I don't know. I mean Mundo has pretty sick nasty ganks with his only 25% slow on Q. Like SwordArt wasn't good. There's people who say that. I think SwordArt was the second best supporter Worlds this season. I think he was incredibly good. Again, there's a question
I don't think I'm not saying he was bad. I'm saying he wasn't as good as everyone made him out to be.
That's because you're wrong. That's just all I'm going to say to that one. I'm not going to agree
without SOFM, he's not going to look as good on TSM. I'm just saying that right now.
I don't really agree with your statement on that at all, but I think
the best thing he was doing was playing through SOFM. He's going to play Spica and fail.
He played around like that was literally SOFM and SwordArt were the team. I don't understand. Like you can SwordArt SOFM is not. able to do what he's able to do without like SwordArt on the team. That's the whole reason he existed. Like SwordArt has the same form probably as Hylissang, or am I wrong? I honestly think that SwordArt is absolutely incredible. He has a lot of high potential. The reason they were able to win out against they were able to win out against top esports is because Hylissang, SwordArt just roamed around the map so effectively, especially against like the other teams. Like just like all around, I think that his Leon was nasty, and we started seeing it get banned against him. So we saw banned against him in the Damwon series. They started banning against him. Like he was an incredibly good player. SFM is jungle, it's Huangfang ADC, and that's a rookie. Huangfang was good. I mean, Huangfang was a good player regardless of how good like they were. They had an all-around good team, and that's why they made it to World Finals. Like, do you mean SFM to Spica? I mean, it's what is he saying? Big diff is going to be SFM to double. Yeah, that's probably what he meant. Like, that's probably what he's going for. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was specifically topping around who he's going to have to play around instead. Did we'll get sneaky in top 4 for sure? No, I don't agree with that. I just don't. I've never been like super. I haven't been high on Sneaky for quite some time. I think that I actually ranked him in the bottom 3 during the 2018 season. I got flamed so hard for it by the chat. This is like when I was actually in the channel pretty often. It was like I got flamed so hard in the chat. It was like, I can't believe you said that about Sneaky. You're just
because it's only because you put Piglet over him. If you had like put other people over him, it'd make more sense. But you put Piglet over him.
I still think Piglet was better than him. I'm not gonna change.
I think that was the only reason why you got flames, because you put Piglet over him.
They got angry because I put him at 7th. They didn't even talk about Piglet except for you. Like everybody else was like, I can't believe he's not top 2 for you. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna put him there.
Dave will have hentai cosplays. Oh God,
I won't be saying that stuff. Like I think that I don't know. Do you think Mithy could follow Perkz to Cloud? I've heard that there's rumors that he's going to Cloud9, and I think that would, again, I liked the drafting phase out of Fnatic this year. I think that was one of the strengths and the reason they were able to take top esports to 5 games at the very least. They were able to win off the drafting phase, and they started losing when they started playing as a competent team instead of a team that's playing as the underdog. Like, imagine Whippo, self-made, reckless mod, sneaky, who's reckless mod, sneaky ADC, reckless mid. Did you say reckless mid? I don't know how that would work. I don't think role swapping as an ADC is nearly the same. I think that would be incredibly crazy to attempt at the very least. Yeah, no, you're okay. Thoughts on Bjergsen coaching? I think I made a few points on it. I think that the few question marks I have about being able to swap to like coaching staff, even when you're not incredibly good at it. If we look at like the transition between what's his name from Clutch Gaming years ago, Lyra. If we've seen Lyra was considered one of the smartest people around the game, but again, he was a hyper aggressive jungler who was not able to play the game with thinking very well. I think that when we look at that, when you look at the game at an outward perspective, even if you're not great at the game, or even if you're not able to play it at a specifically high level, the reason that you're able to like think about it at a higher level is because when you look at it in retrospect and you look at it preemptively and are able to strategize and all that stuff, it stops being about mechanics and all that stuff. That stops factoring in. And you don't think about how you're able to play the game anymore, and you can transition it to this is how the game should be played, and this is how the game looks like when all these things are taken into consideration, because you can see what happens and not have to react to it like on the spot. You can just preemptively premeditate stuff. We could see whether or not he's going to be able to do it. I think he'll do fine because he has a lot of intelligence when it comes to leagues, so I think he'll do fine transitioning.
All right, I try to bring up like all the rumored rosters, but that's pretty much it. If all you have to do is basically they have to confirm it's like DeMonte going to 100 Thieves, which he pretty much is. They have Huni, so that'd be insane, man. So Wild Turtle is going from Worlds to COG to be on a 10th place team. That is so crazy. But do you really think Broxah has no chance of coming back?
I mean, I just think that it's been 2 years now. I mean, he looked pretty poor on a Fnatic, and he looked pretty bad this year. It's been 2 straight years. I usually make the cutoff at 1 year if it's an entire year of being young, unless you've had a lot of good years preemptively, like I did with Sven transitioning into TSM the next year. Like, I think that a lot of people give up on people in 1 year specifically. I give up around 1 to 2 years, depending on your career. So, like, I think it's been a lot of time since he's been good, so that's the reason I'm doing it. Should be fun to watch.
I just think that Caps made Broxah look better than he actually was, and when they were playing together.
I mean, I don't think he really played around. Like, I think the reason he looked better is because of the fact it wasn't a 1 year wonder. I think he looked pretty good in the previous years before that. And I just think that specifically he looked incredible.
The only year he had that was so like that'd be Worlds 2017. That year, season 7. In Season 7, I don't know. Like, he was okay in Season 7. I thought he was pretty decent. Season 8, he looked pretty good. Season 9, he looked pretty... I would say he looked mediocre. I think people gave him a lot of hate for no reason, but he was not playing good. Like, he was pretty average, you know? Because I think Cap... I really do think Cap's sure up a lot of his weaknesses. Because once Cap's left Fnatic, a lot of their weaknesses got exposed. And Broxah was one of the first ones to get exposed, actually. So, yeah, that's what I personally think.
I'll agree it's at least in meta when assassins like Sejuani and Amumu stop being meta. Because that's what Sejuani and Amumu both are assassinating everybody in the game right now. So there's absolutely no way they
like. Do you think Nemesis will get a team?
Do I think Nemesis will get a team? I mean, he definitely isn't the worst player on the planet. He just isn't caliber for like Worlds. He wasn't able to compete against Knight, and that's something a lot of mid laners can't do. He has a lot of strengths. I think he's able to play around the map pretty effectively. Who is the worst team besides CLG? What are all the rosters?
Haunter is going to Dignitas. That's what I just freaking saw. Haunter going to Dignitas. So Haunter, Dardoch, Aframu. Depends on who they get mid lane. It also depends who they get as the ADC, honestly, too.
Let me see. The confirmed.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, man. Andre, Nemesis' attitude is terrible. It's actually pitiful. Good God.
Dignitas doesn't look that good. Dignitas might be the second worst.
It'll probably be a toss-up between CLG and Dig, who will be like the worst.
CLG will be the worst. CLG is substantially worse than them. Dignitas has some pretty solid pieces around it. It's just not that good. Like, I don't know how good. I don't know anything about Golden Guardians is the big question for me. I just don't know enough about them. I don't know.
Golden Guardians is trying to rebuild their whole roster. So they have a Blaze Olive, who was in LCS Academy last season.
Are the one with Niles?
Yeah.
I can't.
No, yeah, I think so. It might be Niles. Yeah, you might be right.
I can't put anything on. I can't put any like kind of thing on Golden Guardians because I don't know how good their players are.
I don't know. Airden, I personally, it could be a combination of both. But for me personally, I don't really like people with that kind of attitude. It just it brings down the whole demeanor and it makes it like you don't like anything. Like he just is very uninterested. But that might just be his personality. His personality is not for me. Some people actually like that.
I will give it credit. I've watched a few things on Dardoch, and he's actually incredibly good at being hyper aggressive and just being extremely like condescending. So that's one of his best qualities is like if you're going to get into an argument with him, there's not many people in the LCS that are going to beat him in that. So that is kind of unfortunate for Nemesis. I don't know anything about Nemesis. I've never watched anything on his aspect because I just have never been interested in it. But there are possibilities that he's going to be like he's going to be able to not meld with this because if he is actually as aggressive as you're saying, I don't think he's going to do Dardoch.
You repeat that again?
Do well on the same team as Dardoch. I just don't think that too aggressive tendencies, like too abrasive attitudes are going to meld well together. That's just not how it works.
He's going to be like, well, I don't want to play mid lane right now. I don't want to play carries.
I don't even know what accent that was.
And Dardoch's going to be like, you better fucking play carries right now, you little bitch. Just going to imagine that. Oh my God.
Is live streaming Among Us, so I guess he's going pro. Nemesis is streaming Among Us right now, so I guess he's going pro.
He's going to retirement early, I guess.
Super toxic. I think he was L9. I mean, L9 is full of a lot of people. I think L9 are just a lot of people who haven't transitioned out of that kind of abrasive, cringy, like kind of teenage phase they had earlier in their life. And I hate saying the word cringy. It's such a goofy word, but like that's just how I have to identify it as. Just a lot of people that'll go into like chats and be like, "Oh my God, you're such an idiot," and haha, and then just trying to be interactive in that aspect. They just kind of get pleasure out of making people feel bad. I don't know what his just accent.
It's like every time he talks, it's always like either he's depressed, he doesn't like playing League, or he just doesn't enjoy life. It could be a combination of both. Because like he hated how people compared him to be like the worst mid laner of Fnatic's history. But if you look, like Fnatic's mid laners have always been great. Xpeke, Caps, Febivin. It wasn't really fair to like that's such an unfair comparison. That is like, come on. Like he can't compete with Xpeke, Caps. Xpeke and Caps already make it impossible to compete to like be compared to. And then Febivin, you know. So
you're trash talking his Kha'Zix pick that I got flamed for saying that Self-Made wasn't the best jungler at Worlds. I got flamed by
No, you got flamed for this man always changes narratives. You got flamed because you said Carson was so much better than Self-Made. It was so like light years away. I was like,
I said Carson was better at Worlds, and everybody completely said you're wrong. It's not right. Carson was not nearly as good as Self-Made, and I disagreed with it.
I think it was like just about even, roughly. It just depends on how you see which jungler.
I think this is purely looking at the series. When is NA Mega Split? Well, I mean,
January something.
I think that all of these teams seem excited. I've literally argued for a singular season for like I don't know how many years now. I mean, it's since this whole like I actually got like kind of developed like into the league scene. I've always argued for a singular season. I think it's a better all-around indicator of who's the better team, and it just gives a lot more validation to the beginning games because there's actually spring split.
Thank you. Once PH, you probably knew here. Yeah, Canyon SOFM like just completely outran everybody. They put them people in the dirt. I mean, Canyon was amazing. SOFM was my MVP. People said, you hate SOFM, you're an SOFM hater. I literally have him as my MVP for the whole event. How am I a hater? I just said, if he plays up against Canyon, he's going to look a little worse because I think Canyon has a better team to play around, so he's going to be able to play more. Canyon can be more effective on different things that matter towards his team. SOFM is good on niche picks. He is really good at objective-based things, but being good at objective-based things has a hindrance because...
I will fight you every time you say this because there's just such a lack of like.
But Canyon gains more. Canyon gains more, and SOFM is all about objectives. No, sorry. Yeah, SOFM is about objectives. Canyon's about ganks.
I don't feel like you've watched enough of SOFM's game to be able to identify his playstyle in that way because I can actually point out a lot of.
Yes, it is, Oswald. Perkz is going to C9, my buddy.
I mean, I don't want to talk about SOFM. We've argued about SOFM pretty much for the past year, and I'm not going to keep doing it now.
I had him as my MVP.
I think that what's it called? Where was I looking at earlier? I think that I've been saying, is this going to be the best year for Cloud9? NA. I've been saying that for about 16 years straight, and I don't know if I'm going to say that anymore. Like I'm not sure anymore. I think that I've been excited for NA for 4 years straight. So it's just. I'm going to see whether or not this happens. I'm not going to hype myself up because, again, it's mostly the coaching staff that hinders NA teams because I see sometimes there is potential on the teams. It's just like with the lack of player base that – oh, man, I got hiccups, man. With the lack of player base that NA has, I think that it's just kind of hard to build as good of teams as the rest of the regions. Plus, we just don't have the ingenuity that the rest of the region, like EU has the ability to adapt instantaneously. China
David, I would love that. I would love if NA was best of threes again, but the viewers don't like it. The viewers don't like best of threes. Literally the best region in the world. Both best regions in the world play best of threes and they always win worlds.
Casual players are the only people, like casual watchers are the only one that matters. The people, the minute amount of people that watch the league to such a drastic extent as pretty much all of us do in this chat are it's such a small amount. They're not gonna make a basis around how we like to watch the game when in reality we're not the ones that matters. We're not the large majority of the viewer base. They're not gonna build everything around us, and just the fact is it's more enjoyable for people to be able to get in, watch one game, and get out because games in usual are just not as long, are pretty long in comparison to a lot of other things.
Thank you, Ziak. At least you can admit it. I'm a casual watcher. Thank you. Yeah. A lot of people don't admit that though. A lot of people are like, no, I watch every single region and game.
You think it's because they're watched out? No, it's because you get like best of threes out of like CLG versus Dignitas, and no one wants to watch it.
But I have a counter to that. That is CLG and Dig's problem for not being more popular. Like,
well, that doesn't change the facts. That's
always not the best of threes problem though. That's more like the orgs aren't giving fans interest to watch their games though.
There's always going to be two terrible teams in the league, no matter what happens, and no one's going to want to watch them play. And that's never going to be fixed because best of threes inherently make it to where you have to watch the two worst teams in the entire league duke it out with each other. I don't want to watch Dignitas versus Renegades anymore. That was the worst game I ever watched in my life.
But you're not understanding this. You don't want to watch them because the brands that they built up aren't exciting. You would watch them if they were actually a good brand that they brought in good teams consistently, right?
You don't watch them because they're boring. you think that eventually there's going to be 10 exciting teams? All of them are going to have solid rosters.
There should be more than 3 because we usually only have Team Liquid, TSM, and Cloud9.
Even if we have everybody, all 8 teams built incredibly good rosters, 2 of them aren't going to be good, and no one's going to want to watch them. That's why I'm saying it doesn't work for the casual player base, and there's nothing you can do to change that because there will always be 2 bad teams. No one complains that this is the only. I don't care about the nothing roster. That's literally why. I mean, the Riot scene didn't actually want to watch best of ones. That's why they stopped making best of ones, because people didn't watch them. It's not me saying it. I would like to see best of 3s also, but it's literally just because of this fact that they don't want to actually have the worst teams duke it out. And honestly, most people don't stick around for the last games. They usually
I understand, because remember how we went to the LCS? Our very last best of 1 game was Echo Fox versus Optic Gaming that one time. Everybody left. Now I like watching the games. I like watching them. That's just me. But that's not we're not everybody. People are. Man, I've been following since TSM, since Beerson joined. That's the only reason why I watch NA. I feel bad for you, man. You watched NA for all these years. No, but I want to ask you, Andre, are you still going to watch and be a fan of TSM since Bjergsen retired? Because I know a lot of people said that they still are, but they're not going to be as hyped for TSM. I mean, that makes sense, though. Bjergsen was the mainstay of your team for literal years.
If you want to put, are we allowed to watch it on stream, that video? I don't know.
I don't have, StreamYards won't, when I use StreamYards, it doesn't let me have the audio for some reason. I can react to it in a solo video if you want that. I can do that, but yeah, when I play the audio for StreamYards, that's what this is being ran on. For some reason on my end, I can't have the audio go through because you guys won't be able to hear that. I can hear it, you won't, and that's going to be the problem though. But no, I can definitely react to it in a solo video because after this, I got to do a video on obviously Johnson going to FlyQuest because that's more views and everything's been going pretty well for the channel.
I feel like he just never figured out how to do it, and that's the actual big problem. He doesn't use Streamlabs because he just apparently doesn't know how to make OBS work, which just kind of crazes. It's just such a better
OBS lags on certain parts of my end. That's the problem.
It doesn't lag on anybody's end. You just don't know how to put up the bitrate. That was your problem. I think that PV will be a good duo with Bjergsen. I still watch TSM game. I don't know. I mean, it's not like they're playing together, so that doesn't really have an effect. Maybe they kind of master how to play mid lane as a whole, but for the most part, I don't know. In terms of unusual picks and playstyles, Alfari is really big. I think that's one of the biggest things that I actually like about this is the fact that they have so much versatility in how they can play the game right now with the addition of Alfari, because now they have a secondary to third carry on this team. Bitrate is nothing. That's easy. Yeah, but that's what he's been struggling with. He's never changed. He doesn't go into the settings.
I am a big-brained man.
He just literally just puts in the code and then starts it up. Having a coach in your role is really good. I mean, I agree with that. I had that myself. I've never had a coach, and I've never had a duo partner. So that's probably why it's been so hard for me to get past that. But I agree with that. I think that's really something when you have somebody that's able to teach you how to play the game at a pretty high level, it should eventually help you, especially somebody who's mastered different aspects of the game that you haven't been able to do yourself. Niski was an upgrade over Jensen, and he has the stats to prove it. I don't know if I'm going to go by stats.
It depends. Because a lot of people just look at upgrades for League players it's just like laning and skill. I think you can be an upgrade in different areas. I think Niski was an upgrade in leadership. I think he was an upgrade in shot calling.
He wasn't a leader.
He was an upgrade in roaming. Yeah, because Jensen doesn't really roam that much, honestly. I think Niski was an upgrade in certain areas, and so was. You can make it so it's vice versa too. Jensen is better than Niski at various things, but that's how I look at upgrades. I think a lot of people look at upgrades. This player was worse than this guy, so that's an upgrade. It's not really true because League is a team game. And you have to kind of factor in each person on their role is being set something, and we don't know these things though. But
I mean, I just don't like to give too much validation to have titles be the end all be all and how good a team is, because again, if we look at players let's see who's bad that's got a title recently. We could look at what is his name? The Huni, when he was a mid laner, was not an incredibly good mid laner. He was not incredibly good at his role, but he was a good complementary piece, and he wasn't the main reason. He's not better than their other mid laners. We can look at a lot of this stuff. Mid lane, titles do mean something, and if you're not able to bring a title with the good pieces around you, it's on your point. When he was on Cloud9, they were a 10th place team because they brought in they replaced the entire roster in one seat split. They brought it back in Like what's his name?
Week 7 when they actually brought the roster that started winning when we went that week. That was crazy.
Yeah. First and only time you will see that. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to just base everything off winning because it is a fine band game, and it was a lot more team oriented before.
Jensen did get them top 4 at Worlds though, so it's kind of how you measure that. Do you measure top 4 at Worlds, or do you measure a title?
How about we just measure individual play if we're gonna base it off that? Like just it's just so putting accolades as the end all be all in somebody's thing is just kind of like not the greatest idea for me. Just clean out with never return to 10th. I agree with that. FlyQuest got Johnson from Dig. I mean,
I'm doing the video right after this. It's over.
Yep. I think that's a pretty solid thing right there. I think that FlyQuest is going to be a pretty solid team, and they have they have the highest buff studs, man. What is your real stream name? I don't have a stream name. I literally I have a channel that it's called Insight, but I rarely ever go put stuff on that. I've known him for like 11 or 12 years now, so we talk a lot.
Yeah, he gets the benefit of my success.
No, I mean I don't even put my other channel inside of the thing. I do put videos out for the most part, but I don't do them very often. Like it's a very sporadic thing on my part, so I'm not consistent. But I think one big thing I do like man, you can't be trash talking Bjergsen. He got crushed. I love Bjergsen.
Bro, I literally created I like Bjergsen too. I met him guys when Bjergsen had his beard and the beard touched me. It felt like I was another man at that point.
I think we have a very distinct California accent. So you can kind of tell for the most part. Like, do you know if people are talking about Lighter being the next big superstar? Do you think he deserves it? I've seen a lot of play out of him. I've seen a lot of highlights for the most part. I don't really know where to see him.
Leader. Leader. He was on Misfits when they collapsed that one year. I remember Leader.
He hasn't really had
like I don't know.
Part, he's not had
Leader's good.
Well, no, everybody's hyping up. I don't think has he been on a team?
No, he was on Misfits. Remember when Misfits Super Team collapsed? They put in their academy team, and that had Leader on it. Remember? And then when they did bad, they put in the Super Team again. And when they did bad again, they just put in Leader again. Remember how they were swiping between Leader and Febivin? So then later on, he was on their premier team, and then he went to another team, and then they heard that Fnatic was talking to Leader, so they assumed that Leader was going to join Fnatic.
How did the beard feel, Knight? What
is that? Man, when Bjergsen's beard touched me, it was like I got blessed with like league knowledge. Like I started talking like Bjergsen, I started acting like him. I have pictures on my Instagram. I can show you guys. I have proof. Oh, new guy. What's up? Rainer, Albert, Lizada, Licorice, Jose Dodo, Palafox, Johnson, Diamond. It's a pretty sick team on a budget. No, that's true. FlyQuest went really budget. They got a pretty good team though.
It's not about budget. I just think that there's a lot of development inside of this team. I think that even if they don't win this year, which is the positive thing, even if they don't win this year, they still have a lot of potential to be able to pick it up towards the later half of the season. Like even if they don't do well this year, the next season, 1 or 2 of them pan out, and you still have 2 really good players to build up like a team around. Like I think that's one of the good things about this. It's not the end all be all to win this season because you didn't spend a lot of money on top of the fact that this is all a lot of developing players. Like that's something that I think that Immortals started to take a chance at. I think we saw a few other players. We saw CLG did 1 year with Wiggly and then just never stopped doing it with Wiggly. Like we saw.
This is a photo of this was my first trip to the LCS way back in 2015. This is when I first met Cloud9. That was a really great day. And then watching TSM lose was the best feeling ever.
I don't like that picture. I
don't like that picture. So yeah, this is just me scrolling down. It's just scrolling down to my Instagram really quickly. It's a picture of me and my girlfriend. When I met CLG for a few times. This is when they had Omar God. This is a throwback. People don't remember Omar God at all.
You got a picture of Fruity Pebbles on your thing, man. What is that?
I was roasting cereal. I hate that cereal with a passion.
All right. I think it's great they picked up Jose Dodo. He popped off at Worlds coming from Brazil. You should not be. I don't want to stop showing your shirtless pictures on stream, dude.
What do you mean? Where's the beer?
And nobody's trying to see that over here showing your flight.
Man, Sven is tall. Sven is a beautiful man. Zen is a beautiful man. There's me and Bjergsen. Yeah, Bjergsen's that beard touched me, man, and it felt so good. He took care of it so well. I miss his beard because I can't. God, man.
I think my favorite thing is the fact that we go to places and every single time he always seeks out one girl. It's like, hey, man, I like your stuff. Let's take a picture. takes a picture with him. You'll see it every once in a while. You'll see a picture of a girl in there that's not related to anybody. She just exists, and he takes a picture with her.
No, I know who that was. That was the Cloud9.
No,
That was the Cloud9 YouTube editor for their videos.
Wow, you took a picture. Did you take one with the water boy of the TSM roster, man? Come on.
I tried to. That's what I meant. Niski. Oh, okay, so Niski was walking out as C9 finished their game, and I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So I was like, "Okay." Yeah, I've met a ton of people.
But I always literally every single time, every time he goes into places in public like the LCS, I walk away from him. First thing he's doing. Look at that. Who is that? That's nobody.
Who?
No, literally the one above that. That's he's just taking pictures with girls, and that's what he does every day.
Hunter Thesis team manager.
Nice.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I met Travis Ovely. This is
Bang hated me, dude.
Bang hated you because you're mean. Man, it's probably because you yell at people and call them weird.
I don't do that.
This is when they won against 100 Thieves, when I got a chance to shake hands with the team.
Mm-hmm. You see, I like how you see no pictures with like Captain Flowers and all that stuff, but like literally days after Ovely May got put into the roster, he took a picture with her. Okay, so all around, I want to say, like, I think there's a lot of exciting rosters on NA. I think that's one of the big things. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
How much does it cost for those trips? I mean, the tickets are actually relatively... I buy the tickets pretty much every time. They cost $15 a piece.
What is Bang doing? Bang looks like he's possessed by NA solo queue in that picture.
Now that Johnson has fly, the Sneaky to Digtoss will intensify now. That literally would just... I don't know, man. I just don't like Sneaky's playstyle anymore that much. I don't think... Why are you showing us your Instagram, man?
We went to LCS, and this is when we were there for the TSM reverse sweep. And then I got a chance to meet Why
did you have 600 pictures of Sonic?
I'm cringe. What are you talking about?
Golden Guardians just signed Babip? Did they really?
Babip? Oh! The jungler from the OCE, right?
Isn't Babip on TSM Academy? I think...
Babip, he was on Legacy. He was on Legacy, right? Was he on Legacy? He was on Legacy.
Like,
that's our ADC.
Like, I think... I don't know if that actually means anything on this point in time. Like, this is great seeing his IG. Like,
I had more on my Facebook. There were some ones I had, like, exclusive to one.
No, we'll just see, like, slightly motivational, like, oh, I love doing YouTube. And then he has pictures of him with his shirt off, flexing in the mirror. It's like his entire social media right there.
How good is Sneaky on a scale of 1 to 10? I always think Sneaky has been super underrated. I think if he goes to Dignitas, I think Sneaky and Afro will be a solid, good bot lane. But to rate Sneaky's form of all time, he's been probably about like a 7 or an 8. I could have put him at a 9 or a 10 because Sneaky has always known his place on teams. Sneaky has always been a consistent damage threat, and he's had carry performances. Like, he's been the best ADC at Worlds for North America, and that's something you just can't really be like, nah, he only got them because of luck. I mean, I guess for measuring luck, then Fnatic's the luckiest team on this planet at that point, then. You know?
Going all rookies so far with Niles Babip and Ablaze Olive. I mean, yeah, watch. It's literally what I've been saying. Like, I have no hope for this. Like, Avenue actually looks solid, and throwing Sneaky in there with him, I think, is going to degrade the level of it. Yeah, like, I'm not trying. Like, I love Sneaky. I like him as a player. I've been told a lot of times.
I said underrated. I said he's always been underrated in terms of the value he brings to a team. Like, he's
literally one of the most.
He's Cody's son, but he knows his role on teams.
The reason that he's even so hyped up right now is because he's so highly rated by everybody. What do you mean underrated? Everybody is literally even talking about him because he's such a legacy player. Like, that's why he's always been.
People are acting like that last split that he played was his. He was just so bad he can't be redeemed. Like, that's not.
I've been like, I'm gonna base it off what I've said. I think I've put Sneaky at a solid. During the last season, like when we did 2009, 2018, what was it, 2019, I put Sneaky at 7th place in the ADC. I put a lot of ADCs above
This man's never going to let this go.
I'm not going to. I just genuinely think that he's been on a downward trajectory for a long time. I think that his relatively highest potential is not as high as it used to be. I think that Knight being the next rookie to be signed by Golden Guardians. What makes you think that?
King is the Academy ADC from Oceania.
I'm just saying, remember? Is there any? I'm saying, what reason is it? Like Like, is there? Did
No, but
somebody say anything about that?
King has visa issues though. That's the problem though. King might not be getting a team because of visa issues. That's the only reason why. But if they sign him, that's great.
Like, I don't want to say anything. I think that Avramu played really well, and it's really disappointing to see him being stuck by somebody I think was not playing well in the previous season, or just last season on the LCS.
Because if everybody says that Zeyzal brought Sneaky down, if you look at when Sneaky had Smoothie, he looked pretty good. Like, I don't know.
Was, like, at this point in time, when he was playing with Sneaky, I think that Smoothie was one of the best supports in the game, like, in the league. I think Zeyzal was never even a top support in the league. Even in his prime, when everybody was hyping him up, I never liked his specific play style. I think he was too limited in champion pool, and even in gate supports, there were so many players that were better at what he did than what he did. Do you think Huni will go back to form? I mean, there's no way to like really say whether or not that'll happen. I mean, just there's no indicator. Like I would hope so. That's all I can say. I don't expect
the top form you're probably gonna see out of Huni is the form he had on Clutch Gaming when he was playing decently on Rumble. That's probably the form you're gonna get, which isn't bad, but that's not gonna win TSM a title. Like, I think that when you have a transitional year, just factor this in. If Huni is going to help SwordArt with, like, English, after this year, why would you keep Huni? You just get another top laner at that point. I think if Huni doesn't pan on TSM this year, I'm calling it right now. They're going to cut him.
There's no reason. Playing with Among Us offline TV.
Man, he's playing with Pokimane. You can't degrade my boy Smoothie. He's playing with Pokimane. I'm playing Pokimane all day on Among Us if you ask me to.
I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to ask you to. Don't worry. I'm a little jealous of that one. There's a lot of interesting people on that little group, but Zeyzal was literally carried by teams he was on before. I mean, I never want to say he was completely carried.
From Smoothie to fat fuck.
What?
Man, meant from going to Smoothie to Zeyzal. Zeyzal was big. Oh god. Wait, I am not a simp. No.
I mean, no, he's not a simp. He's just extremely horny. That's all.
Imagine if like Valkyrie and Pokemon were like, "Hey, you want to play some Among Us with us?" No, I want to put my. I'm just kidding.
Look, this is how the difference between a simp and a horny person is the fact that the simp doesn't respect anybody. He doesn't respect them. Like he respects other everybody but himself. A horny person doesn't respect anybody. He doesn't respect himself. He just wants to look at people. That's all he is. That's what he's like. He literally.
I just like talking to interesting women.
No,
that's what.
Don't say that.
I have a girl coming on my stream Wednesday at 6 because she's gonna talk about something. I don't fucking remember honestly.
That was so cool. You're like, I don't even care what she's talking about. Even though she's a girl.
Imagine. What's that one girl named Chocobars? Like Jade or something? My God, she is so hot. Imagine if these hot women were like, you know what?
Man, I don't want to talk about girls with you. Girls with me out. Man, if Bjergsen SwordArt could impose a worth ethic on TSM House, Huni could go back to SKT form, I believe. That is just a very to say whether or not Huni's been playing a lot. He's been playing a lot of solo queue since he's been playing. So I'm not gonna say that the likelihood of him not being able to play is there. Like he's definitely played a lot. But whether he's able to transition. One actually thing I do want to point out is the fact that Huni actually went over there because he got a good ADC over there, and I think he wants to take over the ADC position from Doublelift. I mean, he's been practicing a lot of ADC and support.
He was rumored to be an ADC for EG.
I think he's actually wanting to swap roles and take over that spot. Could we go back to talking about girls with night? Do you I don't care what we talk about. I just it's just. I'll point out a few things. Honestly, first of all, this man ever since he's got his girlfriend, he's been like, you know what, I can show you how to talk to girls or something. And just think about it. This is the guy.
I was successful with women before.
Just think about this. This is a man that has it's like a pitcher who has a .25 rate batting average going up to me and be like, I could teach you how to hit the ball right now. Honestly, what he brings to the table, it's like your success rate is so low, but eventually, if you throw enough rocks, you're gonna hit something. That's just the big thing about it. This man has been doing it for years. He's been
guys, let me tell you stories. I've had girls invite me to movie theaters to have sex with me, but I chose to watch the movie instead. I'm saying.
Didn't happen.
What?
Didn't happen.
This girl tried to wine and dine me and then fuck me in a movie theater.
No,
I'm just saying that happened.
Okay, I don't want to keep talking about this too much, but I want to point out I'm not trying to insult him. It's just the fact that when he gets success, it goes to his head to such a drastic extent.
I don't even mention it. I mentioned it in a joking way. I mentioned it in a joking way.
So
Imagine jokes in
The
2020. Imagine
previous 4
that.
years, the only success he had with a girl was when a homeless woman tried to walk into his house and said, "I'll sleep with you if you let me sleep inside your house." And that was like the success he had before. Like that was it. That was the pinnacle of his woman's success right there. And that's like I don't know if that's impressive. That might be impressive to some people. I'm not going to say
No,
that.
it's not what happened.
Terrible.
I went to the gym and this lady said, "Can I use your shower?" And I was like, "Oh." She said her water heater broke. What do you want me to do? That's not. I was being a generous person. I wasn't trying to
You
sleep
think?
with her.
Okay. Do you think there's a realistic chance YouTube can sign anybody from an Asian team? What do you think specifically from an Asian team? I think that the likelihood that they want, I don't know. You guys are really overestimating his likelihood with girls. Like
God,
like most
I
of his
was
interactions with
I
girls
was
are
decently
imagination.
successful. Like, okay, so basically, if I'm being completely honest, I was so close to getting a girl, but the issue here is like I had a lot of flaws I had needed to get over, and it's like you're so close, but you're so far, and it just
Yeah.
it just at one point just happened. Me and my girlfriend are really happy. We just saw her actually, so she's at college right now.
I
We
mean,
just talked last night, and she's great, honestly. So
I want to point out the likelihood of him actually upset. We've known each other for like 13 years, 12 years. I mean, I think we joke around a bit with each other. I wasn't really upset about it. It was more so like drive home a point and make fun of him. It's not actually us being upset with each other. He is really bad with girls, though. I do want to point that out. That is an actual truth. That is me actually just spitting facts right now, but
spitting
I don't
facts.
actually.
Are you a rap god? Now you spitting bars. Spitting
I am.
bars now. Oh no,
Um,
DC. Oh no, DC. We do this all the time. It's just banter, honestly. Like he's
um,
gonna pry about my girl problems, and yet he doesn't have girls to talk about. Imagine trying to
that is
flex
fair.
when you don't have. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying. It's
Uh,
like try. It's like trying to imagine a bum walking up to you for homeless, like money advice, and him giving you that, and it's like, huh? You don't know what you're
yeah, the
talking about.
friend says that. I don't know. I mean, I think all around, I don't know what you mean specifically by Asian teams. It seems G2 specifically wants to keep a European specific like roster going around. I think they do want to keep something that's more able to communicate because the forte of G2 has specifically been their ability to be able to rotate around the map, be able to play. Uh, we
What
test him.
I no, I've never actually spoken to any of the girls that he was interested in. Though I'm
I've
pretty sure he
never.
wouldn't care if I was single. No, like so this is how I do it. I don't know too much of a tangent. Like for me personally, if I was interested in a girl and I almost dated her, and a friend was like, and they came up and asked me, and they were like, "Hey, can I date her?" Yeah, sure. I mean,
I mean,
I'm
how many
over
girls
her.
have I?
And I,
I haven't talked to a
yeah,
girl. Right?
this hasn't happened in the ages for me. So if any friend comes up to me and is like, "Hey, I like this girl. I know you're not interested anymore. Can I talk to her?" Then sure, yeah. Doing it behind my back would make me mad. Because doing it behind my back, obviously. If you come up
I
and talk
would.
to me like a man, sure, go ahead and date her. I don't care. That's how things.
What do you guys think about Dignitas? I would like for Hanser to land a spot. I think that's one of the likelihoods. Again, I think that with FlyQuest getting Licorice and all that stuff, I think that's the Cameron thing at this point, right? Like, I think that the likelihood that Hanser actually goes on to Dignitas is pretty decently. What is it? What does Dignitas' roster look like? Dignitas looks like
Hans
they're.
projected is Hanser, Dardoch, Afromu, and they most likely are going to have Sneaky now since FlyQuest have Johnson, and the mid lane position is just vacant.
LMAO, I saw you smile. He's always smiling, man. Well, I switched to ADC. I actually switched to ADC for a little bit. I'm doing it on my platinum account right now, and I've played like 5 games of COG. I have 100% win rate on that. I think it's a fun role. It's so relaxed.
Hugo, if Dig import Maple might be a solid sleeper dark horse
No,
mid laner for the league.
Maple.
Maple's not good in terms of like LPL and
He's
LCK
not
standards to a
good.
certain extent.
I just don't
But you're
think he's.
smurfing on LCS kids.
No, I don't think
Come
he's.
on,
He's
it's
just not
smurfing on
right.
LCS. It's the
No,
LCS here,
over.
bro.
No.
Dude, these guys couldn't even play against
He literally. Okay,
Zillion.
let's think about this right now. I honestly, and I will say it again, I don't even think that GA was better than like most of the mid laners in LCS, and that says something because I think GA was substantially better than Maple. Like, I genuinely don't think Maple's that good. I don't think that Maple is worth going to pick up right now because I just don't think he's worth the import slot. I don't think he speaks English very well. Genuinely no reason to do that. He's not worth the import slot right now. He's not worth bringing over all that stuff. He's played too poorly recently. He transitioned extremely terribly into the LPL, and it wasn't because of the competition. He just didn't adapt to the meta that was shifting from season 5 all the way to now. Like, that's just not how he plays anymore. Like, I don't know if I think that he's never going to bounce back, but I don't think I would import him to see if he could. He wants some. Demonte or Nemesis Reality Golden Glue. Demonte, honestly, I want to point out Demonte has had some really high highs. His ability to play, we looked at it as a colleague game during a lot of the earlier parts of his career. I think he played incredibly well, and I think that I had a lot of hopes for him during the 2019 season in the spring split. He was one of the most anticipated ADCs in the league, and I was really hyped up for him, but we didn't actually get to see anything pan out from that. We didn't actually get to see him do anything from that. I think that there's still a lot of potential for him. I think there's still Demonte has not had a chance to shine because he's never had a good roster around him. He's really had to take the back seat on a bunch of rosters that have had maybe one solid piece around him.
I think last time we saw Demonte was on Golden Guardians, so potentially he's probably going to end up on 100 Thieves, and I think that that's going to be good for him because I think Closer and Demonte are a pretty decent duo, all things considered, and I think that Demonte looked better when he was playing with Closer. The issue here with Dignitas is there's not a lot of mids to choose from unless you have to, choose from like your academy team. But the problem with Dig Academy last year is that's why they're getting screwed, is because they went with basically an LCS team for their academy team, and they didn't bring up anybody new. So even if you wanted to go cheap, you don't even get a chance to bring up somebody new because you didn't bring anybody new for your previous year in academy. So that's kind of also screwing them. Asian or Latino women? Both. I mean, both. Hell no, I'm not choosing one. Both. I love Asian women. Holy crap, man.
I mean, I think I'm a little tilted to Golden Guardians. I think, and Broken Blake Abadage. I mean, Abadage didn't look terrible in comparison to the previous years. I mean, I think he looked really bad the season before.
I think the thing with Schalke is the recency bias because Gilius and Abadage performed really well when they were on their hot streak, but people got to factor in they were literally another game from basically being like out of playoffs, still in the same range. So that's what I try to say to people. It's like you can't just look at like the recent performance and base that being like, oh, that's always been them. No, Abadage's been pretty bad, and Gilius also was pretty bad too. So that's what I'm kind of skeptical of.
I mean, it's fine to be skeptical. I do think you have to give some validation to what he did previously. I do think it looked pretty decent. Still can't get over the fact that Hanser and Fake God are teamless, but Finn is in the LCS. That doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, honestly, it just purposely feels like they picked out the worst possible roster they could without spending any money to just make sure that they actually didn't. They want to make a budget team, save money for this season so they can spend big next season. Is probably what I'm assuming is happening. Or maybe they just want to try and build a brand for now. I don't know what's going on. Finn and Revenge for Hanser needs a spot. I don't know how good. I mean, Revenge deserves a chance at least. I'm not going to say anything.
Revenge is on IMT. They confirmed that. Revenge is going to be on IMT.
Revenge does deserve a chance. Was never in the discussion to join Fnatic. He's the only one in the LC. I mean, Fnatic hasn't. I don't know. I mean, I think specifically it's because Reckless seems to have asked for Niski to be on the team, and that seems to be the reason as to why they didn't really take too much time to pick up a mid laner spot. Like, I like how he said, you got to pick up Niski for me and all, and you got to confirm Hillising were like his two prerequisites from what it seems.
But then he didn't re-sign immediately. That's weird.
Confirm. Like, if he doesn't sign with this team, they're in really bad shape because they have a team that's really designed to play around Reckless that he didn't actually join. Like, I don't know. I don't think.
But to be fair, Fnatic could potentially get upset or crown shot too. Like, there's other ADC players without teams right now. Upset doesn't have a team, and Crownshot. So let's say they don't get Reckless. They still have Upset. They still have Crownshot. I still think two pretty good ADCs right there. Revenge sucked in Academy. Fake God did better. LOL. That's saying something. But then again, Huni ran it down in Academy, and he's in TSM. Right? Huni actually ran it down, was it false? Man.
I'll fair enough. I know I've said that I said that throughout the entire thing. I don't know anything about if it was false. That was just me going off of. I always assume things are confirmed. That's on me for not looking up enough. I just know I didn't do the proper look up on that, so I won't say that's confirmed if that's the case.
That's why you got me.
Well, you didn't disagree with it either. And this
no. Wait, for what? Oh no, Niski is definitely going to Fnatic.
That's not what I'm talking about. But
okay.
Again,
I forgot.
That's one thing I want to bring up. Again, the reason people don't sign extensions is because sometimes they just want to sign for the same team but for more money. That's a very common thing in pretty much everything. You knew you get picked up. I don't know. I mean, they essentially they like to sign, not sign, or they either look for the market or they just sign for more money for the same time. It's a very common thing with extensions, pretty much everything. I don't know. I mean, his state, was it false? I had no idea. I mean, honestly, I don't even remember where I saw it at. I just saw it in passing, and I guess I just took it as a fact.
I mean, even if he wanted Niski or Hillisang, Like, if Fnatic already know that he signed a 1-year contract, then they shouldn't be doing it anyway. Like, he shouldn't be just going off of certain things with one-year contract. So Whippo self-made Niski, and Hill saying depending on if Reckless signs with G2. Even without Reckless, like, having upset or crown shot is not a bad thing either, though. People are making it seem like it's gonna be like super doom and gloom. It's not, though. If they don't have Reckless, it'll be okay. They'll still have a good ADC in
It's
general.
so funny. They gave Kuma one split to prove himself, and then they gave up on him when in reality he had been completely dumpstering people in the academy scene. The only reason he didn't get in a spot is because Licorice was the spot above him in the C9 league.
And then last summer for the LCS 2020, remember how Kuma was doing really well for a little bit there, and then we had one bad game, and then they were like, no, we can't do this anymore. I was like, what are you doing? He's starting to play good now. Wasn't he one of the first top laners to pull out Volibear top? Like, that was his thing, though. So I was like...
But that doesn't mean anything about his. He was literally just one of the first because he was the first one to play that week. Like, Volibear top was instantaneously a good pick into the top lane because just how overloaded his kit became when he got the home wrecker on his ult. How come nobody talks about Wonder, but he's been about... I think everybody talks about Wonder. He's just the least big name. When everybody talks about the best top laners in the league, Wonder's always thrown in there. It's not like he's ever not said anything. It's just the fact that when you're on a team of Yankos, Perkz, Caps, all these people, there's 3 people that are going to be talked a lot more about you. And then Mickey X has been talked a lot. It's just he's the smallest name on the team. And again, even then, I've seen a lot of people be like, man, you're like the best top player in the entire world. I can't believe G2 doesn't spend more money on you. Do you think Odo Omni is an upgrade for Rogue? I mean,
yeah, I do.
I don't think it's a very big question. I mean, Finn was just not that incredibly good.
I think for Rogue, that's a definite upgrade you would want to go for. Now, if they could have gotten Cabochard, that would have been fine too. So
Wait, is Wonder tall? I don't even know.
Says Sven is as tall as you sell. Yeah, Sven is really tall. So I'm 5'8", 5'7"-ish, depending on give or take. Sven said he was like 6 something. When I asked him, I was like, "How tall are you, Sven?" He's like, "I'm 6'3". I was like, dude, like, so I'm tall myself, and looking at another giant was like, huh, I had to look up to take a picture with him. It was crazy, man. But there are, like, all the people in the LCS are really nice, though, because people say all North Americans are mean and they're, like, liberal douchebags. No, like, people at the LCS were really nice to me when I talked to them. So, you know, I got a chance to talk to Jack. I met Jack, and that was great. I was like, oh, my God, this man is so pretty. I wanted to give him an instant, like, long hug, but, you know, he thought I was really cool. He liked my jersey. I was like, wait a minute. This is when you produce. This is your org. I was like, you're just roundly making small talk. You know how you do it for, like, fans, but, you know. It was great meeting all those people. I can't wait to go to the LCS because we were going to go to the LCS on my vacation.
Wonder is 6'7"? That's ridiculous.
No.
Who is Jack?
Jack is C9's owner.
Oh, it's C9 Jack. Wow, that would make sense. I was like, who's Jack? Jack would sign him as a coach the moment he's like, you know what? I just kind of feel like I'm losing this year.
If Jack signed me as a coach, I will literally make C9 win Worlds. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go grab Faker. Who's the best top laner in the world? Do you think we're gonna take Naguri or Ben? We're gonna get Faker, Ben, SOFM, and then we'll get the best bot lane. And
Biofrost was bad, so stay away from him. I mean, I don't know. I think Biofrost is just. He played well before he got on TSM. He gets on TSM, he plays poorly. I think it's literally just the fact that people become terrible at because he looked good, decent before he came on Cloud9. I mean TSM. Like it's not like he was incredible, but he was still a solid support.
Yeah, there was that resurgence he had on CLG where he actually came back and was pretty decent. People had him as like one of the more better supports in the league, but then when he came back to freaking TSM, he just looked so much worse. Like, people were like, why? So crazy. But it just depends. So, yeah, we'll go for another 15 minutes. But I do want to say thank you to everyone who did show up and all these new faces, new names I like to see in the chat. Thank you guys so much. God.
Show what on stream with us? What?
For which stream? Which stream?
Did anybody pick up Flames since his contract was down on? I mean, I think... I don't know.
was talking to him.
I think he had... decent potential. I mean, it's not like he played poorly last time he was playing. It's just like it's been so long since he did play on a team. Rogue's team looks very decent. They might be able to beat Fnatic this year if Reckless goes to G2. I think obviously right now, I think that it depends on the rosters right now. There's very important pieces not being filled right now. I mean, I think that Niski as a whole, I think Fnatic as a whole looks better right now because Niski is just a better player than Nemesis, and he plays a lot better. Oh, do you want to see a video of Wonder shaking Chinese and Korean players' hands?
Oh, okay. Now I know what you mean. Okay. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what?
I mean, there's just like Niski is a upgrade over Nemesis, even because he plays around his team more often. And I think that's going to benefit a carry jungler like Nemesis a lot. I think that G2 is obviously better than Rogue, and I think Mad Lions is a big question mark. I mean, I think they have a lot of potential, so I'm curious as to how that's going to happen. The bot lane is really good. Kaiser specifically is one of the best supports in the world.
I personally think that looking at Fnatic with Niski, I think like a lot of the harder core Fnatic fans that I see in the Fnatic group, they really don't like the idea of Niski coming over. Like, this is the term that I think a lot of people will start using because Nemesis brought it to me. Nemesis was a weak side mid laner. Just the way mid lane is designed, you cannot really be a weak side mid laner. That's why people always want aggressive carry mid laners, because if you play weak side mid lane, man, my personal opinion, which is what Nemesis did, you look as bad as he did all year. And at Worlds, he definitely got exposed. You know, when he definitely played up against more higher quality players. Like Knight really did do him in. But even BDD didn't really have a bad time against Nemesis. The only player Nemesis really beat was like Bjergsen. So that's kind of your measuring stick there. But, you know, he did. Xie was doing really well to Nemesis. Yeah, so like, I don't think you can be a weak side mid laner. Like, people who want competitive teams for like, you know, I don't know. If you're trying to win Worlds, look at the teams that we just had in the World 2020 Championship Finals. You had Angel, and you also had Showmaker. Angel's not playing weak side, and so is Showmaker. They are not playing that. Like, Nemesis's playstyle, I don't know whether or not it was an identity issue or if Selfmade didn't want to give him resources, because the issue is Nemesis was you were supposed to have a player that Nemesis can play through, because Broxah and Nemesis didn't have good synergy. Selfmade and Nemesis were previously together on Mad Lions, so they came over. Obviously, Nemesis got him in, and they just did not look good. I think Nemesis was just a weak side mid laner, which you just don't need. Right. And if playing up against Knight and Caps, you cannot play that play style. And I think Niski is not a weak side mid laner. I think he's a consistently average mid laner with very high upsides if he plays through his jungle.
But the Caps only comes once in 100 years. I mean,
but they had Expecke and Febivin though.
I mean, they've had good mid laners. I mean, I think the big thing is that Nemesis just genuinely, like, I think the over exaggeration on how bad Nemesis was a little bit decent, and I think that he played when we were in EU, when he was playing his specific picks that he was just good on, he was able to.
Cassiopeia, right?
Nemesis?
No, Cassie. Oh, for you. I thought you were talking Niski. My bad.
Niski was just good on a lot of things. I think he's just not amazing on most everything. We haven't talked about Yamano Cannon. No, I just don't care enough about it. I mean, he can talk about it if he wants.
Yamano Cannon? That's a good coaching pickup, but I don't think Mithy. Let me ask you guys in the chat right now. Type 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you really think, and I'm gonna bring up all the context for why that doesn't make sense. So, do you guys really think that Mithy warranted to be changed off Fnatic as the head coach? Now, let's look at Mithy in his very first year of coaching. Fnatic's roster back to so you got second place all year, and then you also had them reaching top 8 at Worlds, and factor this in, they almost beat Top Esports. Also, Mithy turned them around from a team that was looking pretty bad in the 2020 LEC Summer Split. So factor that in. In his very first year of head coaching, he got them second place twice, and he got them top 8 at Worlds, and they almost made top 4 if they had beat Top Esports. Now, does that warrant a change in the head coaching position? That doesn't make sense, though. Like, I don't mind Yamato Cannon getting the head coach position. Mithy didn't warrant anything to be removed, though. That's an unnecessary change, in my personal opinion.
I mean, I think one big thing I want to think about is, again, I think one of the strengths right now, they started playing around Top Esports. They tried to play around ganking aggressively inside of the bot side, having a lot of, what are we doing? I don't know what you were doing. You started.
I was just trolling them. I just want to ask the chat. Do you guys really think Mithy warranted his head coach position to be changed? I don't think it was.
Very long. You got, when you want to ask you a question, you have to shorten it. You don't give context first. You say, was he a good coach? Say yes, 1 on yes. I don't even think you said 1 yes, 2 no. I actually think you said that part of it. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
so the question is, I'm asking you guys. The question is, should Mithy have been replaced from Fnatic's head coach position given his results from this year in his first year of head coaching?
Yeah,
That's
that's good enough. There we go. Nobody wanted to leave. If he wanted to leave, it makes sense. I don't think there's any context whether or not he actually got replaced. No one actually said anything, from my knowledge, right? Was there any like, oh yeah?
I didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything, so you're kind of just assuming that he got kicked off because they didn't want him anymore.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm just saying that they made an unnecessary change to their head coach position.
I mean, they didn't change. If he didn't want to be there, they didn't make a change. He just left, and they're trying to pick up. I mean, I think one of the big reasons as to why they were able to beat top esports is because they picked a lot of aggressive early game jungling, and they tried to play around the fact that they wanted to get either bot lane. Like they tried to play around the fact that the weak side was obviously the bot side because Yuyanji was just not that incredible. Like he was just not a good laner, and he was all around their weakest point of the team. Like it just made a lot of decent reasons as to why they would like to do that. That Mithy didn't like coaching. I mean, if you didn't like coaching, it's fine. I mean, obviously, the change, you would think that I still want to stay in the scene and all that stuff, but I'm just not good enough to be a player. You want to transition to coaching, but maybe you're just not able to do it, and that's just completely fine.
That's true. Coaching's not for everybody. That's true.
Nico said on stream that Mickey X will have the biggest voice on who will join them on the ADC spot. It would make like the person who's gonna have to play with the ADC should have the biggest voice. Like that would make sense. Mickey X is an incredibly good player, so he's obviously one of the biggest reasons as to why they succeeded on the international scene this year. He played it really well. I mean, with the strength and with how support is evolving as a whole, how much power they're giving to the role, I could see them actually giving more and more value onto the support role. Because usually, but preemptively before now, there was not. Gotta go, guys. 320. Wow, that's late as heck. Why are you still up at 320? Who stays up there?
Andre, you're at 320 and talking to us. Thank you, man. It was great having you. And glad you subscribed. Thank you for being here.
Seems like Sneaky is signing with Dignitas right now. It seems like what was that? What was that sound? What was that? I don't understand.
That's the sound I made when Huni was announced to sign with TSM. I was like, I'm gonna blow my brains out. Actually,
don't say that. I mean, I think I enjoy Sneaky being in the scene. It's really fun to see a legacy player be inside the scene, but like at the same time, was that a yeah? I don't know what that is. Honestly, makes sense if Fnatic was overusing their squad to kick Mithy, but he did quite well. Fnatic. I mean, again, there are a few things. Obviously, the later half of the drafting phase, he really didn't adapt well to the rest of the series. I mean, I look like Sneaky. I've been told that many. I don't think you're talking to him, so I'm going to assume that
people said I look like Afromoo. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think that's just racist. I've been told everybody that I look like the worst version of Sneaky, the one that can't cosplay well. That's what I've been told.
You did cosplay. That doesn't make any sense, though.
All right. Thoughts on 100 Thieves roster? I mean, I've said it a million times. I'm really excited for the 100 Thieves roster. I think there's a lot of potential inside of it. I think that someday get a haircut. I actually been trying to. I literally scheduled one, and they swapped my my appointment on me, so I couldn't get it. I was gonna get a perm. That's my plan right now. I'm gonna get a perm. It's gonna look really nice. But
it's gonna be going, guys. He's going to like hoods, and he's gonna be like acting all gangster.
I'm not doing that with my perm. I think that again, you have one of the best looking bot lanes in the entire league with Huni and FBI. I think that the early game aggression is gonna help out a lot. I think the big budget podcast. I like that. I think that one of the big questions I have whether or not is if you guys are just saying similar looking white. I don't like that. They all look the same. I mean, I think the biggest question mark I have for this team is the coaching staff, obviously, because one of the legacy problems with the 100 Thieves has always been not playing properly around one of their biggest pieces in Someday. They always put them on either tanks when the meta is shifting around bruisers. They always put them on bruisers when the meta is shifting around like either poke ADCs or engage support not ADC, poke like cannon AD, like all that stuff. They've never actually picked like comps that have been actually properly built to play around Someday, and that's one of the biggest problems. I don't know if the team is going to matter because he did look miserable. I think that I think Bing looked miserable, but I think he looked miserable regardless. Like honestly, I just think that he hated being here. He just looked homesick. He looked depressed the entire time. I remember that series, the last series in the playoffs. He just looked so like depressed. Like I think that is going to be the big thing about they have the pieces to literally be a top 2 team, but whether or not they can put it together is dependent on the coaching staff. And I really hope that's the case. I really hope they can make a team like this work out because there's so much So much potential in it. Honestly, if they went to Worlds over TSM, I'd be very ecstatic. I'd be very happy about it. They didn't give up for sure. He had the knees on the chair playing with the series out. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. So wait, he was it Hugo? Okay, so 100 Thieves for me. We know what I was before, but I know you came in late. It's fine. I personally think that for the Golden Guardians roster that 100 Thieves has, I'm skeptical because I don't know if that was just a peak performance from them for like a little bit of time, or is like what is their actual form? Is the question. Like, is this really who they are, or was that just a fluke? Because I've seen a lot of regions do that. I've seen a lot of regions do this where they pick up good players that performed well in the last series and they don't do well in the next year.
Peter Dunn specifically is not that great of a coach. He's more of a development talent or being able to seek out talent. And honestly, I don't know how much I can give to him because, again, I've been really impressed with the coaching decisions he's had on the team specifically. He had a lot of potential in that last roster that he was on, and they actually didn't pan out because they didn't actually make adaptations to what their team was actually starting to struggle in towards the later half of the season. Like, Peter Dunn really disappointed me towards the later half of last season, and I'm not sure. Like, again, there's a lot of potential on what's it called, on his
Wait
team.
A minute.
Like,
If
a lot of young
you brought up Peter Dunn. Oh my God, why didn't CLG just buy Shadow instead of Broxa?
Because Brox is just I don't know. I mean, I don't have a reason for that. I'm super sad about Evil Genius, though. Jizuke should have not been taken out last season. That was the stupidest thing ever.
It was like, I think somewhere I said it it was like on their, somewhere, it was, Jizuke and Bang had issues with each other. Like, they had some sort of, like, internal drama with some of the roster they had. That's why Jizuke got swapped out.
I mean, is that a confirmed thing? I mean,
I know I got that from somewhere. Where
did you see it from?
God, it was on. I think it was on Hotline League at one point. I'm pretty sure it was there.
I think the bot lane looks really fun. I had a lot of hope for Lost. I don't think he looked really bad. He looked pretty decent inside of the academy scene. Jizuke is obviously, when he's playing well, is an incredibly good mid laner, and so is Svenskeren when he's on form. I subbed the vibe. I wish you both well. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you.
This is my channel, but I appreciate it regardless. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a hotline. Yeah, I remember because they said Jizuke and Bang were having issues. Because that makes sense though. They brought up Huni, who was their Korean top laner. Okay, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, obviously. But Bang's not gonna be here. I don't know where Bang would be going. Bang probably just gonna retire at this point. I mean, he won 2 world championships. I mean, how much more could you reach in a ceiling? Man has won more world championships than the average person in the game. So like, I mean, if he retires, I'm not too sure I'm surprised at that. They said Blank is going to be a free agent too.
I don't want to make fun of people just because they're not great at the game. Like, I don't want to stress that too much. I don't want to just go out of my way like Blank, because Blank was good at one point, and he's a relatively, like, not all around, not an aggressively mean guy, so I don't want to do that. But I do think, like, we don't have to point out the bad players and see that the free agents, they're probably just not going to be picked up. But they would have obviously backed their big signing, Bang, instead of Jizuke. I mean, Bang was obviously just consistently better than Jizuke. That's the whole reason why they backed him. Like, Jizuke just was good at some points, and he was sometimes the all-star of the team, but Bang was literally always a top 3 ADC in the league for the entirety of last year until the playoffs. Like, that's the reason they actually backed him up. It wasn't anything because of that.
Because, like, Jizuke was just a blabber version in the mid lane. He was just a coin flip. That's all he was.
I mean, Bangy was automatically, I think that one of the, like, I don't want to give too little credit to Bangy. Bangy's, if we look at 2015 Fnatic, 2015 SK2 actually is one actually big reason as to why I love this style of Bangy actually played. Again, he wasn't mechanically good, but again, you could see the little minute things he did around the map. He always warded around top side, trying to fix a lot of the problems that he had because Marn would actually overshove a little bit. He always rotated around mid a lot and tried to rotate around the map with Faker. Like, you could just see a lot of the things he did were always exactly what the team needed. He just didn't do anything better than everybody else.
But then came Season 6, and that's where, like, because people got to factor that in because people weren't watching back then. A lot of people saw that Bang series with Rocks Tigers where he got subbed in, right? But remember, Bangy got benched most of that year because he was playing actually really bad. He was dog shit that year. He only had the clutch factor. He had a clutch factor. Blank played all the games after it was like about week. It was like week 5 after like the IEM in Season 6 where TSM got destroyed by SKT. Bangy looked like crap in Season 6. He was clutch, and I think that's what people remember. But I think overall, Bengi's a pretty solid jungler. I don't care what Thorin says, or he said Bengi's overrated. Bengi's not overrated. If you literally look at how he played good. I think in season 6, people overrate Bengi because of that Rocks Tiger series. Like Peanut actually collapsed in that series against. Look how bad Bengi was playing Nidalee. Peanut lost his mind. But that's just me personally. I think people overrate Bengi in season 6. But overall, I think Bengi's a great player in general. But
I love watching Tuesday play. His game's never boring. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I just think that that's not something I would want as a coach specifically over what Bang brought to the table. If he brought, I mean, honestly, if a lot of players brought consistency to the table, they'd be decent. Like we look at players like Mickey. Mickey would be pretty decent. Is Thorin kind of rude? Haha. I don't like being called Thorin 2.0, and I forgot to change my name when I got into this.
I will change it right now. Oh my god.
Whatever. They could have gotten away with bad mechanics but now you can't just keep it. Yeah, that's just what it is, and that's just the reality of it. G2 have not successfully taken a Reckless as ADC now. I would like to see that. I think it'd be interesting to watch, but I don't expect that actually. I just think the reason he didn't opt into the Fnatic thing is because he wanted to get a bigger payout from Fnatic. Because he makes it seem like they need to pay more to be able to keep him, so they're going to probably get more so like he kind of overpays to like keep him away from the rest of the regions. He also misspelled butt stud man. That's not butt stuff man. That was not going to be my name. I promise. I don't like butt stuff. That's nasty as heck, man. Yeah, I mean honestly, like it's the same bunch of veterans. The mechanic. Yeah, I mean that's just why people fade out. Like even if your macro and all that, the macro game kind of keeps up, no matter how like intelligent you are when it comes to the game, you can't teach mechanics. You can't get mechanics back. That's something you have to have or
you can't teach me mechanics.
You can't teach mechanics. You can learn about the game to an extent, but there's always going to be a relative level at which you can play mechanically. You can just learn about the mechanics behind the game and try and play around that a lot more often. Probably stay, but I don't see Fnatic getting better with Niski. They're gonna be
that's here. But the problem is though, I think Niski is an upgrade to Nemesis in a certain point, but even with Niski, you still don't see Fnatic taking down G2. Do you really see that? Like, is anybody really gonna put G2 outside of first place in their power rankings for the LEC 2021 spring split? Is anybody gonna do that? I'm not putting G2 out of first place. Like, I like Niski. I think he's a decent upgrade, but it's like, it doesn't make that big of a difference now, does it? Reckless is going to G2. All right, guys, I gotta do some videos.
I don't see that anywhere.
Reckless going to check Jake Jacobs' Twitter. I got you. If that is there, I'm gonna end the stream and I'm gonna go do some videos.
I don't see.
If that's true, Andrew, if that's true, I am gonna end the stream right now because I need to do some videos then.
Would you say the jungle role is the most forgiving or fading mechanic, or what role is it? One positive aspect is obviously the fact that mechanics. I mean,
No, I got baited. No,
you got baited. Like specifically in the jungle, you don't have to directly 1v1 anybody, which was one of the most forgiving mechanics. But at the same time, it requires the most precise pop on the spot decision making out of every single role in the game. It is the most macro oriented. All right, guys, great stream. I gotta go. All right, man.
Peace out, man.
One of the most important roles in terms of just having to like adapt on the spot out of every single role inside of the entire game. What does KEKW mean? I don't know what that means.
It's something that people say on Twitch chat. You're a Twitch person. I thought you knew that stuff.
I'm not a Twitch person. I just have used Twitch.
Don't you PogChamp?
Oh my god. True ambition killed all in the jungle. I mean, there's a lot of adaptation you have to be able to make on the spot, but at the same time, mechanics does make a difference. There's like, in terms of just versatility, the most versatile coaching, like a champion pool in the entire game exists in the jungle. Like that's the one thing. Like you got Nidalees, you got ADCs, you got tanks, you got all these things. All these things exist inside of the jungle, and that's what makes it kind of versatile. And again, it is like it has the highest ceiling, but I feel like at the same time, it has the highest floor too. I mean, lowest floor. No, highest floor. That's how you say that. Like actually, if you play jungle at a terrible level against a terrible jungler, it's really not going to make a difference. It's like when you start playing against a really good jungler, you could see the difference what a bad jungler looks like. But honestly, when they're in the jungle, not messing anything up, they can just become farm straight up and become a tank later on down the line, and it won't make a difference. You won't lose the game because they're not feeding anybody. Like that's one big thing about it. But at the same time, again, I think it's probably the hardest role in the game. I'd say like it's definitely up there at the very least. Mid lane's obviously up there too. Every role is hard in a specific way, but all like I don't know. There's too much versatility in the jungle for anybody to be able to pick it up. There's just too many things to be able to have to learn how to do.
Because like jungling, you have to really pay attention to what's going on in the game. Like junglers have to deal with more than every other lane in general. And the second most would be like maybe mid or support. You could probably debate that, but jungling, you have to manage all the lanes, see if they need ganks, objectives, not get behind yourself, invade, smite properly. Like there's a lot that goes into jungling. Like jungling was the hardest role for me to learn when I learned it, but I love doing it now. But it's like the learning curve for jungler to do it like at the highest possible skill is really hard. Like, guys, I still can't play Lee Sin, and I've been playing this game for like 6 years. So, that should tell you something.
But again, honestly, if you think about it now, Lee Sin's like mechanics just aren't that hard anymore. Like I literally can pick up Lee Sin on like on the first try and just do it the insect that was just ridiculously hard in the previous years. Like I'm not really like I think that the progression of jungle has been really the reason as to why all of these like ideas about the jungle have kind of switched. It's been like when Lee Sin was the hardest one, you're like, yeah, it's decently hard, but there's only a few mechanics. And now there's so many different things going on in the jungle, so many things changing. I'd argue support jungle are the easiest roles due to the impact you have on the whole mech. Isolating with there's a lot of ways to look at it. I mean, I think at the same time, I think that's what I'm saying about the floor being the highest, because again, you can either affect the map extremely easily, because again, when you're in a gank, it's usually a 1v2 and you can't lose that really. And it's really not hard to CC somebody for the most part if you're playing specific champions. It's a very straightforward thing to do. You either hit or you don't. Like there's a lot of ways to look about it. Like I don't disagree with your statement, but at the same time, I think that's just it's relatively when you play jungle at the highest level, there's so much more potential to play it at the highest level in that specific role. Because just if you outsmart somebody in the jungle, you completely negate them entirely. You affect the entirety of the map, but you have to play completely against that enemy player. There's so many variables inside the jungle. Or so it's in laning. Again, obviously there's variables between laning against each other and roaming and stuff, but for the most part, you don't have that much freedom to roam or do any of that stuff in the early parts of the game, so you can't really take those into effect early. Like there's so many more things happening, on top of the fact the champion pool is so large in jungle. Like there's every single type of player. I don't know. Lee Sin is very fun to play still, I agree. He's just not that hard. Like honestly, as I expected. Like when I first started playing the game, and now I think that where'd I want Wild Turtle to go? I would want him to go to twitch.tv/Wild Turtle instead of like I think he's I'll point out, I think Wild Turtle wasn't that bad. I think he was not a really bad player. Again, when he was playing well, he was playing pretty decently well. But I'd like to see, like when I'm looking at players, like I'm looking at like Sven and all that stuff, and I think that the Wild Turtle will never push a team to be that next. We're going to compete for worlds. He's not even really like he's a complimentary piece for the most part, but I think that in an ADC role specifically, I don't really like to see that too often. I like to see more aggressive ADCs. I think he's moderately high econ. He's not super high econ, but at the same time, he plays like he's high econ. He plays essentially like Jackie Love without the mechanics, really. He might go to CLG. He will go to CLG most likely.
Yeah. So Travis reported, since FlyQuest got Johnson, now CLG will have Wild Turtle, and that means CLG will probably be 10th place. Let's be honest.
Needs to get better laning. I mean, honestly, it's just I think all around he just doesn't do anything spectacularly. Who will? LOL. Didn't IMT get Raze or something?
So IMT's roster has been confirmed. It's Revenge, Insanity, Xerxes, and people from the Legacy Esports Oceanic playing team from the World Championship earlier this year.
IMT looks bad. I think Dignitas looks bad also. There's 3 pretty bad teams all around that I can see. And I think everybody else looks relatively decent at the very least. Everybody has some potential in their roster. Like even...
Who's more of a dark horse for you, like EG or FlyQuest?
EG or FlyQuest? I think that FlyQuest is definitely, again, when we look at evil geniuses, it's a lot of proven players that have some potential and you can expect them to be pretty decent. But when you look at FlyQuest, it's a lot of unproven talents that have a lot of high upside, but they can obviously not pan out. I think that evil geniuses is more likely to be a 5th place team, and I think that's probably going to be where they peak out at 5th to 4th. But at the same time, FlyQuest could literally all come online. They could all be a lot better than we're expecting. They could literally shoot for 2nd place, 2nd to 3rd place. Like, who knows? Like, we don't know how good they're going to be. Whereas I think that even if they all play on all cylinders like we expect, I think that evil geniuses won't be that good. Like, they won't be an elite team. proven players spread across teams. I mean, EU has always been a top-heavy team. I think EU's always had 2 really good teams, and then the rest of them have been pretty okay. Like I think that's always, like it's been the case for a long time. I watch every single region. I think the one I watch the most is probably the LPL. Then I watch the LCS the most, and then I watch LCK, and then I watch LP.
We watch all the regions. Now the reason why I watch all the regions is some people say people can't do that. I do, but I have to watch some of them through VODs. I mostly watch the LPL games through VODs. I can't really watch them live too much because I'll be asleep during work in that period. But yeah, I usually like to watch all the leagues because you get a general understanding of how strong their teams are, who's the best team, who's the best player. A lot of people said we're crazy for not having like fucking Damwon over top esports. I was like, did you watch the LCK? Like Damwon were incredible, and then that's where you get things like that where you have people putting top esports over Damwon.
I do want to point out the reason as to why they're doing 18s most likely is the fact that with the playoffs coming into the format, where the regular season coming into be a big mega season, the reason they're actually willing to do this is because of the fact that they want to make it to like if it's only the top 6 teams for like some of the teams are going to kind of negate and kind of get kicked out of the playoffs relatively early inside of the season. If you put it in the top 8, most of these are going to come down to the wire. Like a lot of them are going to be like later on down the season. You're going to have a lot of teams that might make it in the playoffs still, but if you do a top 6, you're going to have 1 to 2 teams that are like out during halfway through the season. Like that's just how it's going to work, and that's just not something anybody wants to watch. The reason why they're doing it most likely, but Licorice probably going to stay on Damwon. I have not heard anything about him leaving. The only person I've heard leading so far in the LCK is Chovy is most likely going to be leading Dragon X.
They all got dropped. Def, Chovy, Kyria, and Piosik got dropped.
But with the splits, it didn't ever make sense to splits. I completely agree with that. Like I think that's 8 players in a singular split. Like what's the reason for that? Like we did not need to see the 8th place team go to the playoffs and perform when they only had like they had 3 wins altogether. Oh, I see that. These teams get in there.
If you guys want any LCK news, so they dropped Deft, Kyria, Chovy, and Piosik from Dragon X. Beryl and Showmaker were free agents. Hey, if you're T1, I'd upgrade effort with Beryl.
I'm just saying
I'd do it.
Which, yes, if anybody could pick up the best support in the world, they'd do it. I'm saying I don't know if it's going to actually be a thing, obviously. I think there's a possibility for Degree to be able to leave, but I don't know why he would leave in terms of a team that won the World Championships. Again, there's no indicator that he's leaving. I haven't heard anything about it. I just know he's a free agent, which relatively makes sense, but I just expect him to stay here.
There's so many T1 fans, though. Like, I felt bad because, like, I think T1 would have did well at Worlds, though, if they had a chance to go, honestly.
I mean, honestly, at this point in time, they're living off legacy. And CLG has been here since pre-Season 1 days, and that's the reason they're willing. Like a lot of teams are willing to keep them in here.
Dude, CLG is so old. Kobe used to play for them. Kobe, who cast LCS, used to play for them. That's how old they are. But
where's
it's all nostalgia.
Haunter is going to
Dignitas.
Dignitas with Dardoch. Trying to remember all their players at this point.
Dardoch, Haunter, Aframu, Unknown Mid, and potentially Sneaky.
Their squad's completely every season than Western teams. I mean, honestly, we see it's essentially NA teams are like they pass around the players to new teams every single season. It's like we get Dardoch on one team different from the last team because they don't want to keep him for 2 seasons. We get Wild Turtle getting thrown around sometimes. Dignitas is Aframu and who's the second person and Sneaky. We got Haunter, Dardoch, and the mid lane is gonna be
whatever person they choose.
Have they not chosen anybody yet?
No, they haven't chosen for mid lane yet.
Yeah, okay. But that's the big thing about that. If King goes to Golden Guardians, 4 out of 5 XC90. No, I mean, Def profiting. I mean, honestly, is he buying him out? Are they even actually?
But I do want to bring this up though. So remember last 2019 offseason where Evil Geniuses got Kumo, Svenskeren, and Zazel? Yeah. I'm not saying that the FlyQuest roster will fail. Under Cloud9, a lot of players look really good, but now Palafox and Diamond and Licorice are going to be on their own on FlyQuest. And look at what happened to EG. That roster didn't pan out.
It's not a good enough reason to say it won't. Like the reason EG.
I'm not saying it won't. It's just an indicator that the C9 coaching staff is not going to be there, and that's going to be a problem.
Evil Geniuses didn't pan out for a completely different reason. This specific roster can pan out. I do think they have a lot of potential, honestly. I expect them to, at the very least, do pretty decently. Like they do have a lot. They have a proven talent in Licorice. They have a lot of up and coming talent, and honestly, their upsides are high. Their low sides obviously could not pan out, and they could just be a bad team. But I don't know. I expect them to not be better than Evil Geniuses, but potentially they can be one of the best teams in the league.
All right. I think that's pretty much it. We're pretty sure we covered everything, didn't we?
I'm curious what impact Yamato. I don't know, man. I don't like Yamato's coaching style. I've never liked every time he whatever. It doesn't matter.
You don't like anything. That's just how you work.
They need to take Reckless. I mean, honestly, my Clash team has an opening right now, and I'm trying to get a new ADC, so I'll always take a new. I'll take him. No one else. God.
But yeah, we'll be here for like 5 more minutes, guys. If you guys have any questions, just throw them in. 5 more minutes left because I gotta head out.
The best they take the world. I don't know about that, man. SwordArt is incredible. I mean, I don't know what you're talking. What is the question mark about SwordArt again? I don't understand. What are you specifically talking about SwordArt? Like, what are you questioning?
He's art. SwordArt is art, right?
Oh, it was just a question. What question about SwordArt? I'm curious. What about 100 Thief upgrades? I mean, we've talked about 100 Thief. I think 100 Thieves is going to be. Is he going to TSM? But SwordArt is going to TSM. Yes. I think 100 Thieves is probably going to be the 3rd best team in the league. I think that Someday is one of the best top laners right now. I think they have one of the best duos in the bot lane right now. When did I start watching? I started watching in season 4. I think you did too.
Yeah.
SwordArt Online that is true. If they have Reckless bot lane, they win easy. Did you get drunk halfway through talking? You were talking. You're like having like whole coherent sentences with us. Then you just started talking in all caps, talking about best in the world.
It's TSM number no. Actually, a lot of people in the chat when you guys had your top 4, a lot of you guys had 100 Thieves over TSM. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I always have 100 Thieves over TSM. I think their potential is a lot higher too. I think they have a lot of good players in that team. TSM is more like it. I think they're going to be 4th. I think 5th to 4th is a solid. A solid way to look at it.
If Golden Guardians pick up the Shine Rookie, they're automatically number 1. It's probably gonna. That'd be amazing, but it won't happen, obviously.
Fudge will laugh in top lane. I expect top 5. I mean, I just think that they didn't get rid of Licorice for a reason. First of all, they got rid of Licorice because he underperformed drastically in the summer season. On top of the fact that his contract is gigantic. It's like a $3 million contract, and Fudge is like less than $1 million, I think, at this point. It's just
probably $100K max.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of money they're making off of this, and that's might be one of the reasons.
So you've been watching season 1? Holy crap!
I mean, we watched since season 1. I mean, I respect that. Watching since season 1, I wish. I mean, I was just not that old back then. I wasn't even playing video games that much.
Guys, when we started watching in season 4, when Samsung White was at the World Championship, it was a like work of art watching them play League of Legends and demolish everybody. Like seeing freaking Dandy going ham on people. Like, dude, you know what? There was an ADC it clicked in my brain yesterday. Whatever happened to Name? Name played that one game, that last Lucian game where he got a pentakill, and then he just never played again. That's
Lico has been
Licorice.
Oh, Licorice. How old are you guys? I'm 24, as most people can't tell.
I'm 25. I will be 26 next month. Favorite anime? My favorite anime of all time is Inuyasha. I really like that anime. My favorite anime of all time is Inuyasha. But now I have other favorite animes, obviously. But, you know, Inuyasha, definitely Naruto's up there. Rurouni Kenshin, Fullmetal Alchemist, Yu Yu Hakusho. I like One Piece, despite a lot of people saying One Piece is kind of overrated. But I like One Piece. I think it's really good, honestly.
I'm only 19 yet. 19 years, that's pretty young, man.
Damn, you're 19? What the heck? Man, I'm a boomer. I'm basically
that's what I said. Like... He's basic. I mean,
Basic? What? I'm not going to list every anime I've watched. No, Berserk. I heard... I'm not gonna listen because like if I start listening, now we're gonna be here for another 10 hours from my anime.
I don't even convinced you know how to read. That's why he can't read the manga.
Did you guys read the newest My Hero Academia chapters? Because those are actually pretty good.
I mean, he's 25.
Cowboy Bebop? Hell yeah, man. Cowboy Bebop's the best. Started watching a season. A lot of you guys came in at season 3. Oh my god.
Season 3 was popular because that's when LCK started tearing it up and introducing solo lane dominance. That's what.
You know, one of the most underrated animes ever is Samurai 7 and S Cryet. S Cryet is a great anime. My Hero Academia is overrated. Yeah, it kind of is. I like My Hero Academia. I just think it is overrated though.
Core War Arc is legit Kino.
So the War Arc is their newest arc there in the My Hero manga.
No, I don't like My Hero. What do you guys do for? I'm a plumber. That's literally I got off of work and he'd been calling me. You want to do the stream now? You want to do it? So I'm literally just wearing the same shirt I wore from pumping a septic.
I sell my body for crack every day.
Who said that?
I sell my body for crack every day.
Breath under the radar anime is Goblin Slayer. I mean, I enjoyed Goblin Slayer, but I can see why it turns off a lot of people. When he stacks up top 5, I mean, it depends on what Huni shows up. He has the potential to be a top 5 top laner, but he usually doesn't show up there.
Let's see.
Playoffs.
Shox is about like an 8, I would say.
I don't think so. I think Shox is like a 7.
Shox about an 8. I think Valkyrie looks better. I think Valkyrie and Pokemon look better than Shox, honestly. I think Laura looks better than Shox too.
You straight up just angered people.
What do you think? Laura is so pretty.
I'm not even commenting. I'm just gonna leave it there for you.
Laurel, guys, Laurel is really attractive.
I didn't say anything about Laurel. Just the fact that
Valkyrie's attractive too.
I'm not saying anything.
He just hates Pokemon.
So simp?
What?
I actually Pokemon. I think like honestly, I think attractiveness wise, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think that most girls can seem attractive, like, and that doesn't really matter to me. Like, I mean, it's not like it doesn't matter to me, but like honestly, I don't really have high standards at this point in time. I think you're relatively attractive. You guys just like you see all these super attractive dudes on the internet, and you're like, wow, they don't compare.
I hate all you guys. I'm not.
I see these people.
I look at attractive women, and then I just think they're pretty. I'm sorry, you guys want like 90-year-old women. You guys think Betty White's attractive or some shit like that? Oh my god.
I'm just like, we've actually straight up like. We live in the not best place in the world, so there's not too many attractive women in there. Like, they all look better in comparison.
No, like, definitely, I think Valkyrie is really attractive. I think Valkyrie is really beautiful. I think she looks better, honestly. But
who's the best VTuber?
Best YouTuber? The current YouTuber popping off right now.
No. They specifically said VTuber, and I know for a fact you don't do that. I don't know any VTuber. VTubers, girls that like have anime girl avatars and do weird stuff.
Oh no! I don't even know.
As a host you know what you set the joke up for? Okay. That's specifically up to make you look bad.
No. Laura's really attractive. I think there's other attractive women like freaking hell. Double's girlfriend's attractive. You know, it's just naturally attractive women. I'm sorry, I look at attractive women and go, man, they're high. What am I supposed to do? What if I went to Double's girlfriend and was like, no, you're ugly? Like, I'd be retarded if I did that, because that's not true. You know, but
I mean, you have to do it in front of her face.
It's like a bunch of single guys saying these women don't look attractive because they know they're never gonna get them. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's like this, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy or some shit.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that Sneaky's girlfriend. I don't know, man. Lena is hot.
Yeah, like these are attractive women. Like, you should be able to go like, I could go up to Double's girlfriend. I saw the LC and be like, hey, you got an attractive girlfriend. I'm not gonna say it.
We literally live in Cali. Me and him. Like, we literally live in Cali right now. We don't have any Asians where we live. It's literally just a bunch of crackheads here. A bunch of 65-year-old crackheads that live on the streets. And a normal thing to do in our town is to carry a stick around so you could fight them off. They try and like mug you. Like, I've seen a lot of people walking down the street like that. We don't get too many hot Asians living here. Like, I think
we were going to go to Worlds in 2016, but the tickets sold out on the finals and the group stage. They sold out instantly when we.
I didn't even get a chance. I tried to buy them in the first minute, and they were already sold out by then, so we couldn't go. Like, I
was the group stage or the finals.
Yeah, I've seen, like, there's a bunch of people. If you look around town, there's a bunch of dudes. Do you have degrees? I have a poop degree, if that counts. I know everything there is to know about that. That's all I got, man. Like, you don't really get a degree to become a plumber. You just kind of fail at everything else in life, and you settle there. I mean, I've seen a lot of people carrying around big sticks. I don't specifically, because I barely get out of my car walking around. Ukiah? I don't even know what that is.
Probably means the UK. No. We live in a.
No. He's. I don't think he got a landscaping degree.
Oh yeah, Ravioli does landscaping. We live in California, the most expensive place on the freaking planet, man.
We watch 4 games to split, 3 games to split sometimes. Ukaipa? I don't know if you're talking about Ukaipa. No, we actually straight up we watch 3 to 4 games a season usually. Like, that's usually how much we get around to. I mean, that's like, it's not too many, but at the same time, it's like more than the average person. What do you think about our protege Jody? I'm excited, actually. Like, honestly, he looked pretty decent inside of the what's it called, and I think with a pretty decent. I honestly, again, I know it's not really too impressive, but with NA's coaching staff, I think he could become a pretty decent player. Like I have a lot.
I like the pickup, honestly. I like that they got Jose Dodo because it shows that the playing stage moving forward will have merit. Like, you know, like people, Arma got picked up, Jose Dodo got picked up. I like it. Have you met the players?
All the players seem to hate me. Every time I take a picture of them, they're glaring at me.
Mr. Shut Chase, I will show you before we head out. So we'll end the stream in about 3 minutes, guys. I will show you the pro players that I have met myself.
He did go so hard mode. Like, honestly, that's one of the best things about the play-ins is that a lot of these teams, like, honestly, one of the worst things is that the fact that the Oceanic got dissolved. It's kind of hard to cheer for NA when you don't have your own region, so I feel bad for them. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think a lot of these players are going to have a lot of ability to be able to develop in this scene that's actually a little more developed than theirs was. But I don't know.
So for anybody that didn't see earlier, I had more on my Facebook, obviously. Obviously, I met Jack. You know, this is just great things, obviously. So, you know, it's great meeting all the players. Some days really short, obviously. Afro was cool to me. Yeah, I was meeting Team Liquid. So I went up to Jensen when he first went to Team Liquid, and I was like, hey, that jersey looks kind of different. He was like, yeah, man, for sure. I was like, god damn. Oh, my God. It's so fun being with these guys. That's the best CLG roster ever. I could tell Biofrost did not want to be next to me.
Yes, more of Nightman's IG.
This is my Facebook.
God. You guys missed it. Back when we were in high school, he used to. Why are you holding C9 Jackson? Because he doesn't know how to. He doesn't know proper like social distance. He kind of just gropes people in pictures until like, hey, dude, back off a little bit.
Oh my god. Yeah, Captain Flowers was cool. Me and him had a cool conversation. And then I posted this picture, and a girl was like, cute. I thought she was talking about me. She was talking about Captain Flowers. I was like, really, really. That's C9's YouTube editor. She's really cool. She's really cool. Yeah, I got a chance to meet all these guys. It was great going. Zazel was really cool. Zazel's beard was fluffy, too. Me and Stinky were the same height. That's a crazy thing. Oh, my God. Sven Skarin is... Yeah, these are all just great things, you know?
It's all professional players and then girls. I love that.
These are professional women in the scene, though. That doesn't count.
Envy you?
Thank you. No, it's fine, man. It happens. There's all a bunch of other pictures I have here, honestly. That's when I took a pic. Oh, I met Reaper too. Meeting Reaper is great, man. That's when I met. So that's when I forgot when this was, man. Fuck, I forgot when that was. But that's when I had longer. I would say I had longer hair then. That's when I was a freaking stud right there when I met Reaper. They had just got through eating. I was like, hey, can we take a picture with Reaper? He was like, yeah, sure, man. I was like, okay. That's when I met Blabber. Oh, this was when Cloud9 started their win streak when they brought back in Blabber, Jensen, Kindred. Yeah, so that was the very first day, man. These are throwbacks right here, man. This was crazy. Oh Lord, that's when we had Echo Fox in the freaking. This roster was terrible. This roster stunk, man. Oh my God. Back when TSM was supposed to be. Remember when this roster was supposed to be power ranked to be like freaking third place and like second place, and they completely failed. Oh my God. Like, so that day we went is when Cloud9 started their win streak when they stopped fucking around and they, like, literally were like, no, we're going to be 10th place anymore. We literally went there that day, you know?
Yeah, we also showed up. I think we were there for the Renegades versus what's it called one, right?
That was horrible. Oh, that was so bad. I almost wanted to blow my brains out.
We've been, every time we go out there, something interesting happens, like always. Look at that! Look at that! Who is this? Who is this person?
A girl said I was cute. She wanted to take a picture with me.
Who is this person? There's this like you'll see pro players and all that. Look, and then look at that. It's like 6 girls in a row, and none of them. Some of them are just random people. Oh, that's his brother's graduation.
Like, oh my God, yeah. What happened to Greg? Greg was on TL Academy for the last time I checked, but after that. I don't really know what happened to him, actually.
Greg just wasn't good enough to compete on the international. He just didn't have the abilities to be able to develop, just to be able to develop as a player inside of this specific meta. Like, he literally didn't know how to play aggressively, and that was just one of the biggest problems he had. Spigot doesn't, like, when he was put into the league, he didn't know how to do anything properly. Like, he was worse than everybody at every single aspect. I never understood why they replaced Greg with him. But I think he's looked a lot better recently, so overall, I think it's been at least a decent upgrade.
Well, everybody, I have to head out. I got some more collabs I got to do. I want to say a few things before we end. So we peaked at the highest number of people ever watching. We peaked at, 100 people. A lot of you guys stayed and subbed. Thank you so much. We will have more videos come up as the offseason unfolds. Thank you all for being here. It was great meeting all of you and finally get a chance to talk to all you guys, obviously, in chat. I did not hold Jack's hand. Jack loved me. Jack thought I was a really cool man. I was like, man, I've been watching for so long. And he looked at me like, God damn, this guy's a creep. But no, it was great having you guys all here. It was great meeting all of you, interacting with the chat. This is probably the best stream I ever had here. So I think it was great. You know, anything you want to say before we head out? This is a pretty monumental stream. Peaked at 100 people.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm happy for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so the social. So there's the only thing I have here is Discord and my main YouTube channel. So if you go to the link in the description box below, my main YouTube channel is there. And the Discord where we do like podcasts for like a C9 fan cast is there as well. So if you ever want to join the Discord to be on the C9 fan cast when we record episodes, then that's there. This is kind of this like more our thing. That's the reason why people said they only see him on this, because this is kind of just what we do. It's more of like a live stream thing between me and him, because this is what I wanted to do. And that's it. That's pretty much it. If you want to subscribe to my main channel, the link is in the description box below. Subscribe to this one. Links down there. If you want to join the Discord, links there as well. And if you want to subscribe to his channel, we'll put that there as well, actually.
Disappointed you sounded about that.
Which one? What do you mean? What the heck? I wasn't disappointed at all.
Let
me show, because I forgot the name. Oh, no, I got it here.
You just lagged out? What happened? I can't hear you anymore.
Because I muted my I muted this for a second. My YouTube channel will open. What the heck? Okay, let me fix that for a moment before you leave. Let me fix that for you, man. So this is his YouTube channel right here. This is his right here.
It has about 5 videos altogether, and I only talk about stuff that interests me. So I wouldn't really subscribe for news. I don't do that stuff.
He does general discussion videos. At least can he get a few more of you guys?
No, don't do that. You don't have to do that. I genuinely this is really, I don't matter.
Yeah, this is his channel. Go sub if you want to support him. And he's been putting out stuff too recently, so it's been a lot of consistent stuff here. I thought you were going to upload like one video a month. Oh no, it's on this one? Yeah, so like I've been trying to go into YouTube and fix that link, and they've been messing it up. Let me show you the channel, man. That way you can be here. Let me show you right now. So if you want to subscribe to this channel right here, there's the big red button you can hit for subscribe, or you can just type this in, obviously right here, and just hit subscribe right there, and you'll be here. So yeah. Let me fix up the links in the description box below. I didn't know some of them were not working, but yeah, that's it. Anything else you want to say?
No, I really enjoyed today. It was really fun, and there was a lot of unique, actually interesting like perspectives on a lot of stuff that I didn't think about before. So
me neither. Nice. I was like, man, they actually blew my mind. And then there's that random person that's gonna be like, Hillistang's the best support.
No, I think my favorite one was the guy who popped in and said, "Hey, you have gay hair," and left instantaneously. I love that.
I thought he was just. I was gonna ban him. And
I don't care. I don't care about that stuff, dude.
I was gonna sign out of my main account and just time him out. I thought that was just weird.
Well, it's fine. I mean, I'm not like that.
But yes, Mr. Giannis, just type in this channel's name and you'll be there. I'll definitely fix the links up. I didn't know that one was working. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. But yeah, see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all, enjoy. We'll see you guys next week when we have more off-season news. This was pretty crazy. I cannot wait to see where Reckless is going to be ending up at. That's, if he ends up on G2, that's going to be great. Peace out, guys. See you later.